gon' lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. About to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk. Steppin' is the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk.
All right, y'all. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J is live. We in the building, ready to have a dope, outstanding show as we do every single Monday night at this time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got a lot to get to tonight. We got two big tent topics that we're going to get into tonight. We're going to be talking about Juneteenth, which we just came out of the Juneteenth weekend. And, with it being deemed a federal holiday, it's definitely some conversation that we need to have around that. And we're also going to talk about fatherhood. We're going to have a conversation about fatherhood with yesterday being Father's Day. I think it's time for us to have a fair, fun, and honest conversation about our dads. So we got a lot to get to tonight. We're very, very excited to bring you the flagship show of Legacy Internet Radio. The show is called Ain't No Half Step with Marcus J, and it's live right now.
Yeah. It's about that time. It's about that time to get. Yeah.
Button your lip, open your ears, strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
Ain't No Half Step with Marcus J is live. We are in the building. Be down with us tonight at 804-402-2893. Be down with the flagship show, heard live from New Den of Legacy internet radio. Thank you, everybody that's rocking with us tonight. We appreciate those folks that are checking us out right now on Facebook Live, all throughout the app. We know it's Facebook. We appreciate those folks that are checking us out right now on YouTube Live. We're live on Facebook and YouTube. We ask that you like, we ask that you share, help us grow, be a part of the show tonight. We got a lot to get to. As you can see, our sister Steph is not with us tonight. Shout out to her. She's got some stuff going on, and we hope to have her back on the show live in her spot right there and real soon, the Real Soon show. So we sending love and peace to our sister. So tonight you got yours truly and my brother, partner and friend, my brother John is with me. What it do, homie? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Just hanging out, you know.
Yeah.
Doing my social media work here.
Yeah, I see you.
As the show says. If people who tune in regularly always want to know what I'm doing on the phone, I'm blasting out social media. That's what I'm doing for the show. And I have to do it when the show goes live. So that's what I'm sitting here doing normally when we're talking around.
Nah, I could dig it, man. I also want to give some love to my brothers, our brothers, my brother Damon, affectionately known by yours truly as the pretty boy, and the inspiration of Legacy in that radio, my brother, your brother, our brother Jay Grizzy. Both of them will be joining us at some point tonight on tonight's show. And before we get to tonight's show, I guess we should talk about what it's about. Tonight's show is going to be about the weekend that we just came out of.
Right.
We just came out of Juneteenth weekend, and we just came out of Father's Day weekend. So those are going to be the 10 topics that we get into tonight. But before we actually get into the 10 topics, I got a question for my brother John.
All right, shoot, brother. What you got?
How was your weekend, man? Happy Father's Day, brother.
Happy Father's Day to you. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers who didn't get my Happy Father's Day social media post.
Yeah.
Happy Father's Day.
Yeah, man.
I was up in New York earlier in the week, and I came back Friday night, a little later than anticipated. Saturday, I went out to Bird Park to that, the young lady we had on a couple weeks ago.
Right.
Went out to that. That was nice. I would have loved for it to be a little bit more well attended, but it was good. The vibration was incredible.
Right.
And it was a good thing. Yesterday, because my children are adults with their own lives, doing their own things, I spent the day in the house and I did nothing.
Ha!
And I was mad because I had ordered food to be delivered. I was trying to order food to be delivered and I couldn't for whatever reason. I wound up having to go get food and come back. But
that's not okay.
Other than that, I stayed in the house, watched a horrible movie starring Tyrese.
Oh man. I'm sorry to hear that.
Watched a good movie with Kevin Hart, that Fatherhood movie.
That was
that one hit me. I was crying.
Yeah, that was a good movie. I enjoyed that.
And what else? I had what else did I watch? I was mad because I was looking for my show Run the World. Which is the black Sex in the City.
You still watching it, man?
Yeah, I kind of watched it.
I gave it two episodes. And
I kept going. I just kept going because I became vested in the characters.
Yeah. And
it's a short. It's a half hour of cable TV, which is really like 18 minutes.
Yeah. So
I was able to watch it. I didn't see it. I don't know if they cut it or if it's coming back because it didn't. 5 episodes is not. I mean, they usually take you to 6 or 8 at least.
So we only got 5 so far?
We only got 5. So I was like, wow, that was something else.
Okay.
I caught a little of the basketball. I watched golf. I love golf. I love to watch golf. So the U.S. Open was incredible. It was a nail biter. It was good. People playing well. And that's it. I chilled out. What did you do?
Let me get some comments in, and then
Okay.
I'll share with you. Here's a tease. I made my debut as a drummer I'm officially a drummer now.
That's what's up.
So we getting some love in social media. Peace to David saying Happy Father's Day. He's saying blessings, King. So peace to you and blessings to you too, brother. And then of course our brother Bobby is checking us out. Bobby says no real love on Father's Day stores, no major discount. And he's telling you
That's
to get
Bobby.
yeah,
Bobby, call me, man.
and Bobby's telling you to get off the phone. That's what he is. But he just explained to you, Bobby, and all the listeners, why he's on the phone. He's over there.
I'm texting Bobby who needs to call.
He's handling our social media, and it's just the two of us. So we're gonna have to do this together the way we do it when it's three of us. But you know, our favorite listener is checking us out right now, saying good morning and happy Father's Day. So we're gonna give her the greeting that we give her every single week. 1, 2, 3. Good morning, Sue. I just like doing that, man. I love her, so that's what it is. My weekend. All right, so this was Juneteenth, and Saturday was Juneteenth. I spent most of the day chilling in the shed. You know what goes on in the shed. And then I left to go to 17th Street Market, where Bare Soul Yoga had their own Juneteenth celebration.
Okay.
House of Bagat was there with the drums.
All right.
And so I got to do yoga and I got to celebrate Juneteenth at the same time on the site of one of the largest slave trade posts in the country at 17th Street Market back during the days of slavery. That's what that space was
Right.
used for.
You ever
So-
go to the graveyard?
I haven't, and that is something on the bucket list. Maybe you and me,
Yeah, man.
we should
I
go
go there
out there.
often, right under the highway where
Yeah.
they had the jail and
Lumpkins
they
Jail.
did the hangings and stuff.
Yeah, see, I've been to the one that's
The
right.
energy is incredible.
Gosh, this one that's right across the Hull Street Bridge, going into Shockoe Bottom. There's a slave walk down there. I don't know.
Right, it leads into that.
Okay,
The
okay.
slave walk.
Leads.
The whole trail goes down by the river, by the walk. You know that walk in the biking trail goes that whole.
I know the
thing.
trail.
But that trail comes all the way into, and it stops there where the jail was.
Okay.
and then where they did
So I
the
must not have
hangings.
walked far enough.
Yeah,
Yes.
you gotta come underneath. You come underneath Broad Street,
Okay.
and you go right there. You know, it's right there by 17, right by the market.
Yep.
So if you come past the market, you go down. It's like a parking lot for the train yard.
Yep.
And you walk underneath Broad Street.
Yep.
You come right in there.
Yeah, I know the area. I haven't gone. The area that I'm speaking of is on a different part of downtown in Shockoe Bottom. But you know, Richmond was the capital of the Confederacy, so it's going to be spots like that all throughout. So, but you know,
I love the city. I love the city too because of that. Because I get so much history. It gives me the same kind of feel that I get when I'm in New Orleans.
Yeah,
I can feel the ancestral spirit.
yeah.
You know,
which
and like-
which leads me back to what I did. I had an opportunity to meditate, you know, in that space, which is hard sometimes when there's folks around, but it wasn't hard Saturday. And you know, they came around me, surrounded me with the drums, which was great. We got to do our yoga, we got to do the history, we got to share with the folks who were there, and then they asked for volunteers, you know, to drum. And if you know me, you know, I don't normally do stuff like that. I'm not a shy person, but I just don't normally do stuff like that. But I was drawn to it, and it was so dope, man. I had so much fun, so I got to do that. I made my debut as a drummer with the House of Bagat, and it was real dope. So that was Saturday. So Sunday, of course, you know, I went to the river. I always go to the river, spend my time out there, and do my personal meditation and receiving all kinds of love and salutations from folks wishing me happy Father's Day. And, you know, I tried to respond as expeditiously as I could. I just wasn't interested in taking a lot of phone calls, and a lot of those came through, and I just wanted to be kind of in my own head, certainly while I was out there. But then I went home and watched the Yankees. And well, if you wouldn't know it, you wouldn't know that those jokers actually, not only did they win the game, but they won the game
on a 3P,
on a triple play. A triple play. You can go years without seeing a triple play. And lo and behold, these rascals got 3 this season, 2 in the last damn month. So, and then finished the night watching WWE pay-per-view, Hell in a Cell.
Big shout out to my boy, my brother, Jeff Wooten. Jeff Wooten's birthday was yesterday.
Okay.
Right. Happy birthday.
Peace to you, Jeff Wooten.
I'm not sure if Jeff has children or not, but happy birthday, Jeff. And Jeff works for the organization.
Oh.
So as a birthday present, them Yankees gave him a triple play to win a game. To walk out with a win.
A 5-4-3 double play. I mean, a real baseball fans, you know what 5-4-3 double play means. Triple play. Around the horn.
Back, boom.
Yeah,
let's go.
It was great, you know. So, and then of course I ended up watching, you know, finishing off the night, you know, as you know, John and I, we come in here. Ain't no telling what we're gonna talk about during the pre-show. I mentioned to him that I watched the WWE pay-per-view last night. We spent the last 45 minutes
at least
talking about wrestling, you know, and
wrestling,
you know, and I don't need a reason to talk about wrestling. I just, you know, I've loved it for 40 years and it's just what it is, you know. And if you want to fight me, tell me it's fake. You get a fight on your hands. It's choreographed.
I'm coming up on 50, so that'll tell you. I'm coming up on 50 years of wrestling.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, if I had to be technical, I could call it 50 because when I was a toddler, my grandmother used to take, well, not my grandfather's wife used to take us when we were in St. Louis. She used to take us to the wrestling as a toddler.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, in the wrestling with chairs flying.
I remember my very first time I saw wrestling live. My father took me to Madison Square Garden. This is probably somewhere around 1985, 86. We go to Madison Square Garden, one of the many, many, many times I've been in the garden, to see Hulk Hogan go over Kamala, the Ugandan headhunter, Ugandan giant headhunter, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
You know,
my man who
we just lost him a couple years ago. James Harris. And
Kamala Harris.
Yeah, right.
Kamala.
I remember that. And then he took me to a building that doesn't stand anymore, the Brendan Byrne Arena in the Meadowlands of New Jersey, to see also Hogan. Remember, it's the 80s. And of course, Hogan went over King Kong Bundy then, who's from Atlantic City, New Jersey. So yeah, I come by it honestly.
The only live wrestling match I saw as a person, I forgot how old I was. Maybe I was 14.
Yeah.
It was in it was out on Long Island in the
Coliseum out there. I can't think of
the Coliseum.
The Coliseum.
Yeah, in Long Island.
Can't think
of
the
one that's way out.
That's way
in the middle of Long Island.
You know,
and I saw Jimmy the Superfly Snuka and Don Morocco wrestle main event.
Yeah. Now you know what's crazy, you know, the fact that we are literally sitting here talking about pro wrestling.
Magnificent one.
We in here talking about pro wrestling right now. The fact that we talking about pro wrestling and I get an opportunity to introduce the inspiration of Legacy Internet Radio.
Hold on. He's a whole 45 minutes early.
Violation. I gotta get it. We gotta get it. Yeah. We talk about wrestling. There's no way that I could talk about it and not bring on who I was expecting later. But we are lucky enough to have the inspiration of Legacy Internet Radio join us in our video chat here. My brother, my partner, one of my favorite people in the history of my life, Jay Grizzly Green. What it do, homie?
You know, I was thinking, and all of a sudden I thought about the cream of the crop. Yeah, the cream of the crop was in the building. What's up, y'all?
Hey, man. Hey,
I knew he was going to hit it. Man.
Happy Father's Day, Grizz.
Happy Father's Day, bro.
Hey, happy Father's Day to you all as well. As you could tell, I was so excited. I just spilled all my drink.
Is that Yingling?
Yeah, Stella Artois.
Stella. I just saw the green top. Okay, all right.
Stella Artois.
We glad to have you. You know, John and I were just kind of getting into the pre-chat, the stuff that we just kind of talk about on weekends and stuff. Since we're on the topic, we're not going to bore the listeners too much with wrestling, but I have to ask you, since John and I brought it up, the other camera angle you had was better than one you got now. So if you can go back to whatever you had, we'll leave it alone. Well, there you go. Either way, it's fine. The first time you went to a wrestling match, do you remember where it was and how old you were? Live?
Live.
Yeah.
I want to say I was no more than 10 years old.
Okay.
It was it was either the Richmond Coliseum or what's called the Richmond Arena, which is it was adjacent to what was the Diamond. Back then it wasn't called the Diamond, but that was back then, if you can imagine, that was Richmond Sports Center was where the Diamond was, and they had a little smoke out uh smoke. I guess the equivalent to that would be like the BAM, like the Brooklyn Academy of Music. If you
Right.
ever been there.
What's the theater that sits right next door to Madison Square Garden?
Yeah, it's like the Felt
That's the
Forum.
theater.
That's the Felt Forum. They used to call it the
Felt
Felt
Forum.
Forum.
Okay.
It's the theater at Madison Square
Gotcha.
Garden.
So
And-
similar type of deal. Is it on the grounds of where the Arthur Ashe Center is now, Grizz?
It's on the opposite side. Well, the Arthur Ashe here, then you had the Diamond, and then right there was the Richmond
the other
Arena.
side.
Yeah, on the other side. Well, they built it was a VCU, got the track right there right now. But
Gotcha.
I remember going there. My dad took me. I could not breathe because it was smoke filled to the rafters.
Sounds about right.
I could barely see. It smelled like tobacco and men, and it was just horrible. But I got a chance to see Wahoo McDaniels, Black Jack Mulligan, an early Ric Flair, early Ricky Steamboat, an early Sergeant Slaughter, an early Paul Jones, an early Boogie Woogie Man, Jimmy Valiant. I mean, I have always watched it on Saturday mornings anyway.
Right.
So once I got to see it live, it's a totally different thing than watching it on TV. You got to see pro wrestling live. And back then, of course, I thought it was real.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, blood and all.
Oh, it was real. The only thing that was never in question was the outcome, was the winner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But everything else was real.
Yeah. Yeah. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J.
Yeah,
live
it was real. I mean, I've seen a lot of bad stuff happen on those.
So Grizz, let's go ahead and jump into our main topic, Grizz and John, and we'll have our brother Damon join us shortly. This weekend was Juneteenth, and the federal government has declared the June 19th date commemorating the freedom of Black people, African Americans in our country. June 19th, 1865 is when the U.S. Army arrived on the shores of Galveston, Texas, 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation and 2 months after the end of the Civil War, to let the folks know there who had continued in bondage that the slavery was over. Now, there are some who have cited since then that date is not the true ending of slavery, which we can talk about if we choose to. But for the purposes of this discussion, I want to try to keep it to what we know as Juneteenth and how that's affecting our country. The fact that it's now a federal holiday, and also putting on the table the mismatched dates, obviously, and putting on the table you've got some who don't want the full history of slavery to be taught in schools. And that is, of course, we know as critical race theory. So we'll all have an opportunity to kind of monologue on this before we all kind of round table it. John, I give you the con first. Tell us your thoughts on Juneteenth, and you can go wherever you want. Like, you can go how long you knew about it. You can go your feelings on it being a federal holiday. But Grizz, when John is finished, I want you to do the same. Just your own personal thoughts on Juneteenth, and then I'll share mine.
Well, I've known about Juneteenth. I want to say my entire adult life, and it's not a new thing to me. When it was a struggle to become a holiday in Texas, I understood it because it was relevant to Texas. The story is relevant to Texas. It's not relevant to slavery, in my opinion. The fact that they are still trying to put a cap on slavery is my issue. Those things are, they go together, but they really don't. You know, um, it being a federal holiday, I think is I don't know. We got a lot of holidays I think could have caught federal status way before that. We could talk about Malcolm X's birthday. We could talk about Black Solidarity Day. We could talk about Election Day so that people can vote. Right? Give them a day off from work. We could talk about a lot of different days that are meaningful to people as Americans and to the Black people as Americans that would, in my opinion, overstep June 19th. It's just it got a lot of talk on TV. Show Blackish did a whole show on it. People were talking about it, and like everything that is our culture. White people jump on it. They make some money off of it, and they colonize it. I mean, hats off to them. A lot of times people hear me beef on the show. I'm not mad at white people. They are doing them. You know what I'm saying? I cannot knock the hustle. I'm not a hater. I'm not hating on white people because they represent about 6% of the world's population and they control everything. Somebody explained it to me. That's brilliant. That's genius. They control the narrative. They control the money. They control whatever needs to be controlled. And I can't be mad. I just say, everybody else needs to step their game up. But Juneteenth as a holiday, it's not a holiday for the sake of being a holiday to represent anything good for Black people. So that's it. It's a holiday for some other means. There was a small protest on social media from fathers who said, okay, like, come on. I mean, Father's Day is trash enough, but you're going to throw Juneteenth up there to completely knock us out. We can't even get a decent barbecue now because of Juneteenth, right? When they start doing the sales, they're going to roll it in. So the Father's Day sale, when they take our money to buy us stuff that we don't want, we ain't even going to get good discounts now because of Juneteenth. So, yeah.
Grizz, we talk about Juneteenth, and I'd like to know what your thoughts are on it. I'll share mine after you.
All right, cool. I mean, I'm glad that they made it a holiday. I think some Black folk were celebrating Juneteenth and didn't need a federal holiday to observe it. I mean, it's nice for them to observe it, but it doesn't change the. I don't think it changed. This is what I think it might do. It might put in the consciousness of Black folk who did not know about Juneteenth, for what it's all about, and it'll put in the liberal white man's mind something, just like they all wanted to go to see Black Panther when Black Panther came out. When Juneteenth come around, they can all celebrate with the brethrens as well. But it doesn't bother me that they passed it. It was just it crept up so quick. Usually when something like this, it would be front and center in the news cycle, the 24-hour cable news cycle. But I think Biden going to Russia or something took over, and by the time he came back, next thing you know, Juneteenth a federal holiday. So I was just like, wow, But I don't complain about it. In Richmond, we were celebrating a version of Juneteenth. We used to call it June Jubilee, and back when I was a kid, we didn't call it Juneteenth. We just call it June Jubilee. Like you didn't know what it, because of the critical race theory. Like they didn't teach Juneteenth in public schools here in Richmond or Virginia. So, and I do remember on my own studying that blacks, and especially in Richmond, because this is where the South fell, April 6th or 7th, 1865, is that up until right after that, blacks in Richmond celebrated it. They called it Emancipation Day, and they had marches up and down Main Street from the Burnt District all the way up to the Monroe District. So, I mean, I don't think black folk actually need, quote unquote, need a holiday. It's good that they pass it. It's good that it's on the mind and the conscious of people, and that it'll be recognized. But we celebrate our own holidays. We don't need, Uncle Sam putting a check mark beside it one way or the other. But so, I mean, my opinion is I'm happy that they passed it. I'm happy it's federally recognized, but we're gonna do what we're gonna do at the cookout anyway.
I could dig it. I feel similarly to both of you.
Mhm.
I've always said that racism is a white people problem to solve. You created it, you need to fix it. Having said that, when I look at Juneteenth, I saw a Facebook post that I put out from 2009, which was the earliest that I remember being on. I think I came on Facebook in October of 2008. And in 2009, in June, the first June, that I was already posting, happy Juneteenth. So I was trying to figure out when Juneteenth came into my earliest consciousness. I can't remember. I feel like I've always known, but I know that I haven't. I just know that I've known about it for a very long time. And I know that we, black people, have been celebrating it for a very long time. Like there's a branch of my family in New Jersey that's very, I don't want to say Afrocentric, but very cultural. They were the first people that I knew that was doing Kwanzaa. This piece of my family, they was doing Kwanzaa when everybody else wasn't really doing Kwanzaa, and they would talk about Juneteenth. So I've always kind of known about it, and here in the Richmond area, there's always been somewhere to go Juneteenth weekend for as long as I've been here. I've been here next summer be, August 11th, August 11th, 2022. I'll be here 30 years. Next year, it'll be 30 years. So I've always kind of known about it. So here's where I want to go with regards to us, right? I want to talk about white people. I want to talk about us first. If you've been celebrating Juneteenth for all of these years, or for however long you've been celebrating it, then why is it a problem for you now that it's this federal holiday? Like, I get the whole thing about the pandering, because it's absolutely pandering. I get that. Totally get that it's pandering. But why does it affect how you move? Like, if you was going to a Juneteenth celebration for the previous 10 years, and then you got in your feelings last Thursday when the president signed it into federal law, I'm going to call bullshit on that personally. Because you shouldn't, I'm going to give you a chance. You shouldn't be moved by what they're going to do.
Right.
Because it's always shown that they're going to do what they're going to do anyway. Was it pandering? Yes. But the fact that it's now a federal holiday comes into direct conflict with critical race theory, because you've got so many of these Republicans and a lot of these white people that don't like the truth being taught in schools about how heinous some of the things that were done historically by their people. Here's what I mean by that. Last week on the show, John was making the point about how white people have performed historically. We battled, we went back and forth, and I listened to what he said. He listened to my responses. I don't want to rehash any of that, but he was on to something when you talk about the history of this country. I don't want to talk about history of the world, just the history of this country. And we talk about 400 years and all that kind of stuff. Like, we know the history of this country. But when we tell the history of this country, particularly something like Thanksgiving, the white man comes off benevolent and heroic. Like you actually did something by coming here and showing the Indians how to live civilized, which historically we know that's bullshit because we know what y'all did. And we also know what y'all did during the history of slavery. Now, I'm not casting aspersions. I'm just speaking about what happened. I'm not saying all white people are bad. I'm just speaking about what happened. I'm not saying that you all celebrate white supremacy. I'm just speaking about what happened. And that's what critical race theory attempts to do. It attempts to speak about what happened. And so if my child can experience racism, if John can in his 50s and Grizzy and I in our late 40s can experience racism in its purest and most vile form, then why can't we teach your children about it? Is it because maybe there's something that went on that maybe you're not so proud of, that maybe does not reflect upon you in the most positive light? I can dig it because it was fucked up what happened. But at the same time, it's what happened. And ain't nobody walking around here thinking that you are carrying a Confederate flag unless I see you carrying a Confederate flag. So I don't see there being a problem speaking on the history of what happened. Last point I'll make before I let you respond, John, is the fact that we have it as a federal holiday, and there's states across the country that can't even teach it in its most accurate form because of the fear of critical race theory. And that's where you lose me. I think it's a good thing that it has been deemed a federal holiday. One, because, yeah, the federal government employee is going to get the day off. But those of you who work for private companies, don't expect it, because just don't expect it. They have the option of whether they're going to give it to you. And I go to work every year on Columbus Day. I promise you, there's going to be plenty of people going to work every day on Juneteenth, even though they're both federal holidays. But they ram Columbus Day down our throats every year. Talk about how great this murdering bastard was and how this dude who stole and pillaged was such a great person that we got cities all over this country named after him. At the very least, if we're going to learn that history, at the very least, if we have the Freedom Day, as it was called on Saturday when I was at the celebration hosted by Bare Soul Yoga at the 17th Street Market, if we're going to call it Freedom Day, then we're going to talk about what freedom looks like. And I think it's absolutely because of the history of this country that we teach every single American what happened to their black brothers and sisters, who did it, why it was done, and what has happened since. And if you run from that history, then I promise you, you're going to be viewed as a white supremacist by me, even if you ain't white. Ain't no how Steppin with Marcus J, live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. John, please respond.
A lot. I'm glad you kept going, because now it's a lot. There's more to respond to. First off, here's the issue with it being a federal holiday. You just jacked us. It's like civil rights. Just jacked us. Civil rights didn't have anything to do with anyone but black people. But now a white man can say his civil rights have been violated. Juneteenth was our thing. Now it's national thing. Now white people will be having cookouts in their backyard celebrating Juneteenth. We got jacked.
I think that they deserve to, because I think Juneteenth is something that is as important to the history of white people in this country as it is to the history of black people in this country.
But let me explain why that's a problem.
Okay.
You can't fake include. And that's what they do to us, right? Always fake include, right? Fake include with
but we know it's not genuine.
But I'm saying the idea of it being important to them is a false narrative, because it fake includes us in the prosperity of the country, and having it be relevant to them, we would have to tell the truth. Nobody's gonna ever tell the truth. Nobody's gonna ever say that Columbus never set foot on the continental U.S. No one's ever gonna say when white people did come here, they didn't find people in loincloths on horseback. They found cities, built houses, irrigation, farming, government. No one's going to say that the Constitution was plagiarized from the Iroquois Nation Constitution. They're never gonna. None of that is never gonna be told.
Well, let me ask you
here's
this.
the problem: the reason that they can't tell it, and the reason I may not even have a problem with not telling it, because it would lead to a destruction. Because the contract that we have that lets us exist and operate as a nation, which we really are just a corporation. The contract that exists that allows us to operate and do business and that makes our money the world currency is a false documents. It's illegal. There was over 1,000 treaties signed with Native people that the American government reneged on, right? And if it could be brought to trial, the fact that the Cherokee Nation went to the Supreme Court and won the rights to their land, which was the state of North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia, and the president said, "Okay, you won, but I'm gonna send the troops in, hold the land." They couldn't hold the land, so therefore they took it by force. They double took it, right? So now, when you talk about all of the debauchery, the rape, the murder, and stuff that went on in this country, that created this country, you can't start telling the truth because you won't stop telling the truth. And then, if you go back, you're gonna say, okay, the real Atlantic slave trade began the other way. They enslaved people from Hispaniola and sent them to Europe as slaves first.
Now let me stop you in the interest of time. I want to stop you, and I want to make this more of a round table because we kind of all made our points known. Here's where I want to stop you, and I want you to respond to this, and then I'm going to get our guests back in here. That's way down the line for a lot of the people who we're talking about in our country. And here's what I mean by that. You still got a lot of black people that don't even know about Juneteenth, that just learned about it. And you are opening the eyes of a lot of white people who have never heard of it. Now, everything that you just said is really hard for me to dispute it because obviously you're a smart guy. We're smart guys. We know that history. But there are a lot of folks that don't. Like, you're still meeting people to this day who either didn't know about Juneteenth or are just hearing about it over the last few years.
Right.
And so when you start relaying it to the bigger picture, like connecting it to Columbus and how he never came, I agree with all of that, everything you just said. But I think that it's important to start somewhere. And I think if we kind of bury our heads in the sand and say, well, this was ours, we don't want to share it with y'all, so we're not even going to talk about it, and we're going to keep it with us. If we really are people in this country who seek to have harmony with everybody, when I say harmony with everybody, I mean, you ain't got to hang out with white folk, but you ain't got to be assholes to them either. You ain't got to hang out with gay people, but you ain't got to talk shit about them either. You know what I'm saying? Like, that to me, that's what harmony looks like. Like, I can agree that you
want that get back
and that you get to do you as long as you don't mess with me doing me. And it's important that if we're going to live here together, that we know a little bit about each other. You know what I mean? Like, if you live in a neighborhood and you talk to your neighbors, it's nice to know that your neighbor has a hobby that you might be interested in, or maybe that you're not interested in, but in the interest of being a nice neighbor, you talk to him about it. Then you get to talk about your own stuff to him or her as well. And now, hopefully this analogy is not being lost. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say with regards to that.
And I'm glad you said it because you just gave me
more ammo
answer.
More ammo for the argument, right?
Earlier.
Okay. Hold on before you do that, because let's get some comments in from social media. And we got a new participant on the show that we're going to introduce here in just a minute. So, first of all, we getting our sister Latrell is checking us out. She is our sister Sue's sister, which makes her a sister to us, and we love you too. And we're gonna give you the same greeting that we give to your sister.
Good morning, Latrell.
Good morning, sis. Ronaldo is checking in. He's saying now that Juneteenth is a federal holiday, white folks are immediately going to capitalize financially on a day that we've been celebrating for years. Be prepared to see all types of Juneteenth-ish in Walmart and Target next year, which is absolutely true. Nobody's going to dispute that. We've been having that conversation all weekend. Every single time they get a hold of summer hours, this is what they do. So we shouldn't be sitting around acting like we surprised.
Surprised
We saw
about it.
last year, we saw what's the lady who's the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. And all of the Congress
She wore
people
the dashiki out.
walking around
With
in
the kente
kente cloth. Like
Kente cloth,
we know what it is. So we get mad and we're not gonna do us because they want to get a part of it. So now you're gonna stop listening to hip hop too. Like I got you, and I'm not coming for you, Ronaldo, but this is a conversation that we have been having since last Thursday when this was signed. It's like I can dig it, but it's just not an argument that moves me. Ain't no how Steppin Market then Legacy Internet Radio. All right, so it is absolutely time to bring in another participant into the conversation.
Remember, though, I gotta get back in.
Let me get the new participant in. I'll get you back in. Let me get the new participant into the conversation. He is my brother, my best friend in the whole world. My brother, partner, and friend, the pretty boy Damon, is on the live line on the screen with us as well. What's up, bro?
What up, Dave?
How you doing, man?
John, how you feeling? Jay
What's
Grizzly.
up, bro, man? Good to see you.
What
brother.
up, D?
I'm chilling. I want to say a special hello to my man, the new drummer, Steven Adler from Guns N' Roses. He knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Did you just call me a cokehead, man?
Oh wow!
I called you. I called you one of the best drummers that we have seen in our age. You know what I'm talking about. Stop playing.
I know what you're talking about. He also happens to be a cokehead. But my man, Guns N' Roses, Steven Adler, original drummer.
Called you Zorro.
Original drummer from Guns N' Roses. My man, what's up, Damon?
I'm chilling. I'm doing pretty good. I just wanted to call in on this topic of conversation because you always got your ear to the ground and you're always doing your thing. So
yeah, man, I appreciate you. Now, in the interest of bringing you up to speed, I want you to give us your thoughts on Juneteenth. And John and Grizz and me have already kind of gotten into it a little bit, and you're coming in now. You and I have talked about this in our personal conversations,
right.
But share with the listeners your thoughts on what Juneteenth is, the fact that it's a federal holiday. Does it move you that now white folks are going to be a part of this discussion when they haven't been, at least not on a federal level until last Thursday when President Biden signed it into and making it the 11th federal holiday? What's your thoughts on it? When you're done, John's going to jump back in. What's your thoughts?
Well, yeah, we got to make sure John get his thought in. Can't stop that from happening. But nothing but love, John. Nothing but love. It's
hey, look,
crazy.
he feel like that, don't he? Smart ass. We got a whole room full of them, don't we?
No,
go ahead, bro.
As far as I'm concerned with the whole Juneteenth thing, Juneteenth, I think it's one of the most important moments in American history for us to be able to actually have a federal holiday for that. I remember when we were lobbying and fighting hard to try and get a federal holiday for Martin Luther King, and everybody was clamoring for it to be. This also is, pretty much along those lines. I think it's a moment in history that I think maybe John might have said that, or maybe Grizzly said that. People have been celebrating Juneteenth for the longest, not needing a federal holiday. I don't necessarily really agree or like the fact that it's become commercialized at the end of the day, because like you said just a few moments ago, I mean, it's only a matter of time before you see them in Walmart, Target. You get 2 for $5 at the corner drugstore or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's something that we as Black Americans should celebrate. We should be happy about. I totally agree with your point, Marcus, about having the opportunity to not only just secularize this as a holiday just for us, but it's something that needs to be broadened. It needs to be shared with with the world, or with people in the United States, but yeah, the world as well. I mean, because at the end of the day, it's letting the world know that something that was an American atrocity had finally come to an end, and that's something that needs to be celebrated.
Ain't no half step on Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy in that radio. John, finish your point, bro.
Hold on, let me get the info John go, because he going to be long with it.
You're gonna be long.
Go ahead, Chris.
I mean,
Smart ass.
if the white man in 400 years ain't claimed none of the shit that they done, why would we expect anything less from them? They trying to already whitewash January the 6th. So we know what's going to happen when we put down our marker. They're going to try, and they will. What they're afraid of is generations from now, this will, I won't say disappear, but they can't keep fending off this tidal wave of truth that's coming. The more and more they keep doing it, the harder it is for them to get away with it. So that's why I don't mind, the holiday being proclaimed, because a white man's great grandchild that was born now, with 50 years from now, is going to ask their parents, what is Juneteenth? As opposed to 50 years ago, they would not have done that. So it's not to say that, the white man, we all know what they're going to do. So we shouldn't be surprised or be upset. Like, we still going to move like we move. How Jay say, what you eat don't make me shit.
I could dig it.
This is my issue with it. And it's like, we keep somehow believing that it's going to be all right. And it's not going to be all right. They're not going to come around. They're never going to be nice. And it's never going to be a time when they're not trying to kill us.
I don't think anybody
wait,
thinks that.
Let me finish.
Yeah, but when you make a statement like that, okay,
I'm going to explain it.
Nobody thinks that.
But let me explain it.
Okay.
This is the problem with them making it a federal holiday. This is the problem with them acknowledging it and being part of it. That's what happened to Memorial Day. True. Memorial Day was our thing. It ain't no more. And it's hard pressed to try to tell somebody. And 50 years from now, it may not even be a thing where anybody will even know to tell somebody. And that could very easily happen to Juneteenth. They start calling it something else, and next thing you know, it will be officially when slavery is over, and it wasn't. Slavery wasn't over till, in my opinion, till about 1975. Right? And matter of fact, it ain't over now because they still, if you get locked up, you legally a slave. Right? And that deals with policing in this country, the slave catchers. Nothing's changed. We still have slavery. The fact that people actually think we don't have slavery is to me is the whole idea. Oh yeah. Juneteenth, slavery was over. Let's not talk about it no more. That was it. It's ended. It's over. Slavery right now. Right? And this is how, and I said something earlier about, they're about 5-7% of the world's population. They run everything. This is how they run everything. Because they tell people, oh, it's okay. Oh, it's nice. No, listen, we understand. And then you remind them of the atrocity they did. Oh, no, that wasn't me. That was 100 years ago. And the next thing you know, they doing the same thing. They're gonna put it in, they're gonna tie it up and put it in something else, but they're doing the same thing.
I can actually faintly hear "Fight the Power" as he's speaking in the background.
Nothing has changed.
Let me ask you this: what would you prefer? What would be
slit their throat?
There's no perfect world, obviously,
right?
But it has been deemed a federal holiday. It is what it is. If you had your way, if this had gone the way you envision it, how would this have gone? Would you say that
what aspect?
In the aspect of it being deemed a federal holiday versus it not? Would you have preferred that it stayed in the Black community as something that we kind of quietly celebrate amongst our own?
I would prefer if it stayed in Texas, honestly, because it had everything to do with Texas. It didn't have anything to do with nothing else. It had no effect on slavery anywhere, any place else but Texas. And slavery is still going to this day. So for them to make a federal holiday talking about something that's ended, that's not ended, They're putting a stamp on it. They're controlling the narrative. They're dictating the policy. They're giving us the language. They're telling us how we're going to do it, the way it's going to go. And it doesn't.
I just don't agree with that.
But it.
Yeah,
but
would you?
I don't think I agree with that either.
John, would you
abolish?
Would you abolish the 13th Amendment?
Would I abolish? I would abolish the Constitution.
So then, what would stop?
It needs to be redone.
Right. So abolish the whole Constitution with 13% with no capital and no military. What do you think the Trumpsters in the world would do?
No, that's not how it goes. You rewrite it. You don't take away one thing until you have another thing in place.
But but what was it saying? As a white man,
but what would that other thing be?
White man, it's 87%. If I'm a Trumpster and I'm sitting there saying, and you are co-opting me saying abolish the Constitution, what's to say I don't go out here, string up 4 or 5 Negroes and keep them as my property? What's to stop me from doing that? If I'm 87% of 300 million.
Well, they're not quite 87%, but the fact of the matter is, right? The what you just said is very, very relevant.
Right. What's to stop me from doing
nothing? Listen, nothing stops them now. They do it every day. They lock people up and make them slaves every day. Nothing is stopping it. So the point, what's supposed to stop them is the fact that they're supposed to be human. They're supposed to be civil. They're not supposed. That was supposed to be 400 years ago. That was supposed to be. That wasn't me. That was my great grand. How are you going to hold me accountable? So so take away the falsehoods and let's see how they really behave. I think we saw it on January.
We saw it.
But I mean, at the end of the day.
So what I'm trying to say is, again, just like the civil rights movement was stolen from us, it's no longer ours. The Voting Rights Act destroyed, no longer applies. Right? Memorial Day is no longer our holiday. We created it, stolen.
But right? I don't understand how it could no longer be our holiday. It was originally celebrated by us, because at the end of the day, if you look at it just like in the example I used with Martin Luther King Day, they didn't want a holiday for Martin Luther King. Arizona, wasn't Arizona that put up a fight for the longest? For the longest about having a national holiday for Martin Luther King. But at the end of the day, it was the inclusion, it was the conversation, it was the verbal back and forth, it was the debating, it was the arguing that led to them actually having no other choice but to pass it as a national holiday. Now you're saying,
but what did that do?
Hold on. Now at the end of the day, now you have Juneteenth. Now don't get me wrong, it's not going to blow everybody's skirt up, but it's progress. It's another means of progress. And you seem to want this to all to happen all at one time. Like there should be a tidal wave of acceptance. There's been 400 plus years of this bullshit that we've had to experience. And unfortunately, the prizes that we get, the jubilation that we get is trickled down to us. That's the unfortunate part about it. But with the opportunity to have Juneteenth become front and center in day-to-day life as it is right now, because it just passed, that gives the opportunity to have more conversation, more inclusion, more discussion, more arguing about what it's all about. And just that just doesn't make any sense to me. I understand where you're coming from with that, but at the end of the day, it's better to have something than nothing at all.
See, and that's where we strongly disagree.
Let me get a comment. Let me get a comment. Ronaldo says not the whole 13th Amendment. The exception clause in it needs to be removed.
Okay, this is the problem. Sometimes it's not, because the something we get, what it does is it pacifies, it covers up, and it obfuscates the issue.
That's why you still have the conversation. That's why you continue to talk about it. That's why you can't just say
it dulls the conversation.
For who?
What does it dull the conversation for? So if it's not talked about, how does anybody know about it?
I'm watching history repeat itself, because like I said, these are the same conversations we were having 50 years ago. right? We were having these same conversations, and I'm worried that 50 years from now we're going to be having the same conversations.
let me-
And all of the stuff that we think we got, we didn't get nothing.
Let me jump in here.
Okay, because it seems like,
first
and unfortunately, I'm sorry, Mark, but it seems like you and no disrespect, but it seems like you're complaining about the fact that it's something that is brought to social consciousness, but at the same token, you're upset that it's been brought to social consciousness.
Yeah,
No,
and
that's not it. I'm not. No, that's not it at all.
Hold on, let me jump in here. That's what it feels like, and I'll give you an opportunity to clarify your position. But that's what it feels like, because I led my conversation in my part here by saying that, you know, we've got people who've been celebrating Juneteenth for many years, that now that it's a federal holiday, they feel a way about it, and that's just weird to me. Shout out to my cousin Tony. He's saying peace to the family. Peace to you, brother. Thank you for always supporting me. That's because y'all got a lot of love for him. Pretty boy, Belmont Avenue.
Whoa!
Walking distance from you, bro. Belmont Avenue. Because Belmont Avenue. Ronaldo says what John is saying has merit. We no longer control the narrative when it comes to civil rights. Hell, we don't even control the narrative about what's racist or not. Hey, look, that's a very fair position. If that is an explanation, a little more clear explanation of what you're saying,
it is definitely in the vein of what I'm saying. But my overall point is this, right? Every time I'm gonna tell you this, and this is it. If white people give you something, they didn't give you anything, and that's just how I see it. White people are not. It's not in their spirit to give anything. They're takers and destroyers. Full stop. So if they made it a federal holiday, it wasn't for our benefit.
I just don't agree with that. I don't agree.
Show me when white people have done something.
I don't agree with that.
That has benefited us.
I don't agree with that for a lot of reasons. The main reason that I don't agree with that is because of the president that we have now.
He's a white man, and I don't care.
I mean, I got you on it, but you know, you are coming from the white man as devil perspective, and I just don't agree with that.
No, the white people,
okay,
not an individual white man.
Okay, well,
but show me.
I got you, but
when you can show me where they gave us something that benefited us,
we have to.
I'll take back what I said.
We have to agree that the federal holiday is a bad thing for you and me to fairly debate this point. You think that it shouldn't have been done because
I don't know what it is yet, right? All I know is beware of those bearing gifts. I don't trust it.
That much
I don't trust it.
That much I agree with.
If they gave it to us, it's not going to help us. It's probably going to hurt us.
I don't think this was about giving it to us, and this was a point that I was trying to make earlier. I didn't get to finish the point. So whoever that is, please put your mute on. My God, if you're going to die, don't die on the air. My God, which one of the two of y'all is that?
I'm good right here.
Okay, I wasn't looking. All I just heard was somebody with COVID.
Grizz, you all right, bro? Grizz, you all right? You got slumped down in the chair and everything. Grizz,
that's a COVID cough. My goodness. But anyway, I look at this. Yeah, well, I'll holler at you later. I look at this. You know, it's two sides of a coin. You know, you got what happened to us, and you got who did it to us. And so we personalized Juneteenth because we were the ones oppressed, and we were the ones who were negatively affected by it. But white people are as affected by this in a different way as we are, because if we are telling the truth about this history, which is the reason why I got an issue with the critical race theory, and I think that we should be allowed as people in this country, not black, not white, just people in this country, to tell the truth about what happened. And so if what happened is told, then everybody benefits from this being a holiday, because we were oppressed. No question about it.
But how does that help? What you said, I understand what you're saying,
I didn't finish,
but it was localized. It wasn't even national.
I didn't finish my point.
I'm sorry.
The abolishment of slavery, you've got 10% of white people in 1865 or during the times of slavery of white people that owned slaves. 10%. We always had it in our minds that it was all white people, which is not factually accurate. It wasn't all white people. Now, all white people benefited from it, true, but not all white people had slaves. And so I'm not one who agrees with the fact that all white people are bad. I don't agree with that. I don't agree that it's in their nature to be bad. They did a lot of fucked up stuff, and we got to deal with that. But I'm talking about today. I'm talking about the president of the United States signing this bill.
He didn't have to sign it. He could have said, "Go to hell."
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that if what happens is the people of this country learn the truth about their brethren, which is us, black people in this country, that is what this as a holiday is supposed to be for. Nobody says that we expect to be holding hands with these folks in the street, and now all of a sudden we're not going to have police brutality, and now all of a sudden the schools and our bad neighborhoods are going to be made right.
Yeah, that's not going to cancel all that out.
And now all of a sudden, you know, all of the white folks who look at us funny, we walk into the stores. Now all of a sudden they're going to look at us and help us find what we're looking for. Nobody's expecting any of that to happen. I'm not. And I know you're not, and I don't think they are. But what I'm saying is the fact that it is now a federal holiday opens us up to tell the truth about what happened to black people in this country. And that truth is truth that needs to be known by everybody that's here, because you're not going to find nobody in this country that don't know somebody black.
So get them to say that the 19th wasn't the end of slavery, because it wasn't. Slavery wasn't abolished.
Well, I mean, we know that there's states.
We know that, but
to this day, it's still slavery. So I mean,
we understand that. We understand, but John, we understand that to this day, there's still oppression, there's still slavery.
Letting them set the narrative as June 19th.
Not if we have the opportunity.
That's what's in the books.
Not if we have the opportunity to discuss it amongst us all and let it filter out. You think? Let me ask you a question. Do you think that back on June 19th, 1965, that black people were the only ones working to get Juneteenth? I mean, to pass the abolishment of slavery? There were white people that were there along with them. That's not something that was just strictly black.
Yeah, no, They really wasn't. That again, that's again.
Right,
I can't
because at the end of the day, it wasn't just black people that was trying to free black people. You think black people could have gone ahead and done some of the things we did as
the
far
exception
as
proves the
as
rule.
See, again, the only thing that I hear from you is the fact of you putting forth the energy of something that is negative without any type of solution. You're talking about.
No, I have tons of solutions.
No, your solution is just not to be bothered with them. And
no. That's not my solution. My solutions are first of all based in truth and not continuing
I don't think completely based on truth. There's also an opinion thing about how you feel about not including a white person at all. And again, my thing is this: I don't think that black people would have gotten as far as we have gotten without the assistance of white people.
Yeah, and that's what white people want you to think. But we wouldn't have been jacked up in the first place without you. So I mean,
that goes without saying.
Most people think that the Civil War.
We supposed to keep pointing the finger at white people and saying,
"No, we're not.
You did this to us.
No,
so what are we gonna do? How are we gonna accomplish anything else?"
Watch this. The Civil War, right, was not the main component to end slavery. It was the Gullah Wars. They won't never teach that, but it's factual. The Gullah Wars and the slave rebellions made slavery unsustainable, right? Abraham Lincoln wanted slavery to continue, right? And when he wrote the Emancipation Proclamation, it was only to apply for states not under the control of the North.
You giving me a history lesson, and I'm asking you for what it is that you can actually put forth as a solution to make this not an issue.
Here's how we make this not an issue. Here's how we make it. I'm about to tell you how we make it an issue. First thing we do. First thing we just say this: white people have never civilized anything. Full stop. They came here and found a civilization. They brought disease, corruption, and murder and treachery.
We know this. How do we get past all of that?
We know it in this room. but
No,
it's
we
never
know this.
talked
There's
about
more than
publicly.
just this
So
room.
hold
They
on,
got
wait.
the evidence. The
You want
evidence of
solutions?
what white folks done.
You want
Is
solutions?
out
I'm
there.
giving you solutions. The
You
fact
haven't
that
got me. You haven't given me
slavery.
one yet.
No, this is how you solve this problem. You tell these truths and make them documented fact. Right?
How do you tell the truth
How
and you
you
don't
make
talk
it
about
fact?
them?
You
How do you tell
chose.
these truths
The
if you don't
people
talk
who
about
win
them?
the wars get the right to history.
Hold on,
rename every
one at a
city.
time, fellas. One
You
at a time.
rename every city named Columbus or Colombo or any kind of thing for a native tribe. You tell the truth of who Columbus was. A worse human being than Hitler. Put him in the same
Okay.
book with Hitler. Speak
And
about
what does
the
that
founding.
solve?
Wait,
There's no
Hold on,
this
hold
is
on,
what it
hold on,
solves.
hold on,
I will
hold on.
give you what it
Hold on, one at a
solves.
time. One at
I
a
will
time.
give you what it solves. Explain how the Ku Klux Klan paid for Mount Rushmore. Explain how the founding fathers, were the most disgusting, pedophile, slave-owning people the country had ever seen. That you could put them in the same book as Hitler. That they don't deserve. Nothing should be named Jefferson, Washington, or any of that. Right? Tell that truth. Tell the truth that the majority of slaves in this country who were black people who were already here when they got here.
But
Right?
to the
That the
victors,
first slaves went the other way. They didn't come this way. Right?
so what you're saying, John, what you're saying is to the victors gets the spoils of the war.
I'll always say
So
that.
yeah,
No,
so
let's be clear. Again, I am not hating. Don't get it twisted. I
I didn't say you
understand we
were.
lost.
no, it's
Right?
not.
And
No,
that's
it's not a
cool.
loss.
And
But
they
how do we get that?
and
How
they
do we
did
get
their
what
thing.
you? How do we get what you want? How do we get to some glimpse of what you're saying? I.e., let's say Columbia, South Carolina is now called Gullah County, South Carolina. How do we
Right.
get there? The only way we can get there is
No, the way we get there is
no, that's by your argument.
Listen,
That's
I'm
the
about
only
to
way they
tell
can
you.
get there.
I'm gonna tell you how we get there. We stop perpetuating lies. We stop accepting. We stop
Hold on.
accepting false olive branches like this thing as a holiday. This is not an olive branch. This is not a launch pad.
All right,
This is not something to talk about because if you're going to talk about the truth of Juneteenth, we're talking about a specific part of Texas that got told a lie later than other people got told a lie.
All right, so I'm gonna stop it there.
Please.
I'm gonna give you both, Grizzy and Damon, an opportunity to respond. I got a couple of comments in from social media. I'm gonna say my last word, then we're gonna move on. All right. So Grizzy, you up first. What you got?
No, I mean, I see, I totally see John's point of view, but like I teach my kids as fathers. We're gonna talk about Father's Day in a few. You know, what's happening now might happen during their lifetime or their other child's lifetime. It's been 400 years. We already know what their track record is, John. We already know. The whole world knows. The more and more that they get a chance to stick their foot in their mouth, they stick their foot in their mouth. I.e., January 6th, i.e., this racial thing about teaching. They're trying to hide everything. If you did something wrong, of course you want to hide it because you're guilty. We all get that. My point is to get where you want to go, we can still actually factually speak to those historical things, but we don't have the. I mean, you want to radically change everything, but we only 13%. We only 33 million out of 300 million. You know, technically, if they flip the switch right now and say we don't like Juneteenth, we don't like Martin Luther King no more. We want January 6th in every state in the union. They could come, you get their liberal white friends that's come round us all up. Based on the argument that you're saying, like none of this, everything needs to be ripped up, everything needs to be gone. I don't like to be long-winded, I'll keep it short. So it's like there's gotta be an end game to it. And your end game is the hell with them all. And I think what we're saying is we all got to live with these folks. We all got to live with these folks. You know?
Damon, what's your final word on it?
And again, John, I'm not saying that I don't agree with some portions of what John is saying, but I think at the end of the day, if there is going to be any type of understanding from either side, yes, truth needs to be told. on both sides. Truth needs to be told. But at the same token, you have to take a lot of that with a grain of salt. You got to give some people a chance. At least give them a chance. Now, we've already seen, like Grizzy said, 400 years, 400 plus years. We already seen what their true colors are, what some of their true colors are. But like Marcus said, not all of them are like that. I defy you again to disagree with the fact that back in 1965, June 19th, 1965, that there were not also white Americans that were actually fighting along with people that were slaves that were trying to get free. You can't tell me that, because in this day and age right now, that even over the years, there have been still white people of other ethnic backgrounds that have tried to do what they have tried to do to try to alleviate some of the things that have been oppressed against us. So again, I'm not trying to say that you are wrong completely, but again, if you're gonna go ahead and say that, okay, this is what we're gonna do, this is what we're gonna do, give a solution instead of what it seems to just be like negative problems about the whole situation. It doesn't seem like there's a solution from any of that.
Ain't no hashtag on Marcus J live from New Day and Legacy and that radio. Getting a couple of comments in. Family is checking in tonight, big time. Shout out to my cousin Fern, who's actually in Texas. He actually says, let me get you a comment in here, Vern. He says, what does this, let's see, what this does is open the thirst for knowledge that will teach of more uprisings, wars, and the fact that white people did assist in some enslaved people to freedom and Canada. Because Tony says, until we as black people come together and market our own brand and everything across the board, we will continue to have these conversations. I agree with both of them. I'm going to put a bow on this and I'll have the last word on the topic. Then we're going to have a conversation about fatherhood. I understand what John is saying, because John is speaking from a perspective of, when you look at the history of the world, and if I get this wrong, I'm sorry, but we don't have time to go back into it. So I'm just going to take the last word. But from a perspective of history, if you look at history and the history of this country specifically, white people have done some foul stuff to us, man. And we got to sit around. We don't have to, but we sit around, we take it. You know, we take it from the time we was brought here, you know, through slavery and lying to us about the whole fact of Juneteenth is a big ass lie, because you got people in Texas that wasn't even told that they not slaves no more. That's some bullshit, yo. Like, for real. And we talking about 150 plus years ago versus now. And the way I'm interpreting what I'm hearing is, what's different? What's different? What's different about if we wasn't slaves for a whole 2 years, and we was freed by a president who openly said that I don't want to do this, but it's going to cripple the South, so I'm going to do this. And we find out 2 years later that we benefited from it and we free now. And then we spend the next 100 years going through Jim Crow, going through lynching. And then in the 60s, when we actually do get a civil rights bill, and we actually do get a voting rights bill, 100 years later, and almost 60 years after that, in present day, we still having this conversation. And the people who are perpetuating a lot of this stuff is the same people who was perpetuating this stuff in 1865. So it's difficult for me to argue with someone who wants to talk about how white people have nefarious means about their actions and their practices. But at the same time, you always had a John Brown. You always had an abolitionist. And I'm not about to fancy Joe Biden on a level of none of that kind of stuff. I'm not one of those people who agrees with the negative things about Joe Biden with regards to his racial performance, because Joe Biden, somebody says a lot of dumb stuff, but my opinion is his heart is usually in the right way, in the right place. And we all know people like that. We might be those people, the people who know us, who say dumb shit all the damn time, but our heart's in the right place. And that's what I feel about Joe Biden. That's what I've always felt about Joe Biden. And I'm not surprised that he signed this into law. And I don't have a problem with him signing this into law, because I know as black people, we've been celebrating this since 1866, mostly in Texas. And then, of course, it spread across the country. So I don't want to feel a way about it being a federal holiday when I was at a Juneteenth celebration last year and the year before that and the year before that. And my earliest memory of Juneteenth is in my 20s and 30s. Those are my earliest memories. My daughter, her whole life has known about it. And you're going to have generations of people who are going to always know about it. I get the whole thing about it being a pacifier. First thing out of my mouth on Thursday when he signed it was that it's a pacifier. You have white folks walking around saying, see, we understand, y'all. It's not that bad. Same shit they were saying when Barack Obama was elected president that they still saying now, but they fucked with him over a tan suit. And 4 years later, we had Donald Trump. Like, get it. Like, white folks, some of y'all, we know who you are. The ones that John talking about, we know who you are. We dig it. We know who you are. But I don't move worrying about what white folk do. No more than I move worrying about what you do, and what you do, and what you do. I worry about me. And that's what we should do. As people, we should worry about us. What we going to do? We're going to celebrate or we're not going to celebrate. But for those of us who choose to celebrate, let's get it. Let's get it. Let's celebrate our ancestors. Let's celebrate the ones who, when they went to sleep at night, they fantasized about those of us who might be able to get on a microphone and wax poetic about things like this. Those are the ones that I will talk about. Those are the ones that I will celebrate. I ain't copping for what these white folks is doing. I know what it is. Not all of them, but a lot of them. I know what it is. They ain't for me. They ain't for you. They ain't for John. They ain't for Grizz. They ain't for Dane. But you got those Tim Wises out there. You know what I'm saying? You got folks who seem to get it. And I'm not going to paint them with the same broad brush no more than I want to be painted with the same brush that John Muhammad was painted with. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus from New Den, Legacy, Internet Radio.
The DC
You should just drop that mic right there.
Yeah.
You should just drop that mic at that one right there.
I does that shit.
Yeah,
Ain't no how Steppin Marcus live from New Den, Internet Radio. All right, so
I'm about to celebrate some more Juneteenth. I'm ready.
Oh,
yeah, we've been celebrating.
What you got there?
I'm
What
ready.
you got there?
I put it
I
on
got that.
there.
I got
Put the
that.
light on his ass.
Yeah, shine light on him. I'm about to celebrate some more Juneteenth right now. So the show over.
Is that white? Is that white?
That's that white kid. That's that white.
Man, I can dig it. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy, Internet Radio.
John,
So as I look on the TV screen and I look. Yes. Did you hear? Yeah.
What did you say?
He ain't put the mic on, grab the mic.
Hey, John said sis ain't here, so we can act up. We should have burned something in here.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna be leaving, and when I leave, you know how I do. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus. 804-402-2893. By the way, we got the folks that are checking us out on social media, and the folks that are listening and watching on Facebook Live, as well as on YouTube. The phone lines are open while we're live. The phone number is 804-402-2893. That's the number to dial if you want to talk to John, Grizz, Damon, or yours truly. Let me get this comment in from my brother Reynaldo. He says, and now the civil rights that were intended exclusively for Black society have been watered down by continuous inclusion of all types of other groups. White folks are masters of manipulating us and tricking us into believing the crumbs they give us are a full meal. Full stop. Don't disagree. It is what it is. Full stop. Full stop. I don't disagree, but at the end of the day, I have no problem with Juneteenth being a federal holiday, because the alternative is for those white folks and those other than Black folks who get to learn about it, who now change their thinking and they move in the direction that they need to move in. I'd rather reach them than to feel away because we as Black folk now just, now we got to share it with everybody. Like I understand the sentiment, and I understood it when you were saying it, and I don't necessarily disagree with it. All I'm saying is, so what? So what that now they know? So what that now that's a holiday, they get to benefit from it? So what? It shouldn't change how we move. That's the problem. You gonna stop doing what you're doing because now white folks in on it now? Did you stop listening to hip hop? They took that over too.
Chicken Slim Shady.
They wear their pants lower than we do sometimes. You gonna stop wearing Timbs? Word. You gonna stop chucking the deuces, saying peace? You gonna stop speaking in slang? Like all of the stuff that they take from us that they incorporate into pop culture, into American culture. This is not new. This is not different. Now all of a sudden we want to feel away because we took Juneteenth so personal because we celebrating the fact that we free now. So now all of a sudden that white folks is in on it now. We can't do it no more. We mad now. We mad. White folks, they celebrating Juneteenth. We can't celebrate Juneteenth now. Really? I just don't agree with that. And there's so many people. I'm not saying that you, Reynaldo, or you, John, are saying that because I know that's not what y'all saying. But there are plenty of people who hear me and y'all know that's exactly what y'all saying, and that's who I'm talking to. And you know how Steph Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and that radio. All right. So I got Jay Grizzy and I got Damon on the live line. On the live line. That's the old line. That's the old line.
School line. That's the old school line.
Gotcha. That's the old school, right? We in New
Ain't we
Dan.
new school? Yeah,
we in New Dan.
School.
It's the New Dan. So we got to talk as I got y'all on the screen. I got y'all on the show. And we here to talk about fatherhood. We got 4 fathers, man. We 4 fathers. And I'm excited to be a dad. My daughter's 18 years old, and I'm as excited to be her father as I was when I found out she was coming. And every single moment since then, I'm honored to be her dad. I love being her dad. Being her dad is real dope to me because I get to mold the next generation. The next generation came from me. You know what I'm saying? And I love her. And I look at her and I see me. I see elements in me. I see elements of her mother. I see elements of her mother's family. I see elements of my family. I see things that I never saw nowhere else before. And I'm the steward of making sure that she gets where she needs to go in life. And I got her through the first 18 years, and I hope I'm blessed to get her through the next 18 years and next 18 after that. Being her father is the greatest joy of my life. There's nothing I've ever done in my life, including this show, including rocking with y'all, that is more important than being a father. Being a father to my daughter, who, when she looks at me, she thinks I hung the moon. She thinks I'm great. And I have a day that I'm not feeling so great. And just a word from her will make me feel great. This is what she gives to me. This is what I give to her. And I think that is a perfect example of what being a dad is like. Like, how do you not look at what you created and see greatness? You know what I mean? That's what being a father is about to me. Now, we're going to talk more about it, but this is where we're going to start. John, you're a dad, man. You're a granddad. Being a grandfather is one of the greatest goals of my life because as I just waxed poetic about the love that I have for my child, if you know me, you know it's so much more than what I just said in words. But you get to look at the child that your child had. And that's a goal that I just hope I live long enough to be able to see. So being a father, I said what it means to me. And I'm going to ask Damon. And then I'm going to ask Grizzy. I'm asking you first, John. What's it like to be a father for you, man? You're a dad and you're a granddad. Talk to me.
It's a realization of life's responsibility, right? You have a purpose in the world, and the purpose in the world is to continue things, for life to go on, right? Each one of us is essential for life to continue, and hopefully to have it better because of something we did. I would not be comfortable saying that anything I did made the world better if I wasn't a father, because I don't know the impact of anything I may have contributed as an educator, as a lecturer, as a technician, as a club owner, as all the different things I did for a living. I don't know as a writer. I don't know if any of that if any of my contributions made the world a better place, but I know that my children being here makes the world a better place. So that's one thing I can say that I did right. They are my only source of pride. Um, and I don't feel bad about having that pride. I don't think, matter of fact, I know I'm not the best father I know, but I think I did a good enough job because they are adult, independent, productive members of society. They bring to their community uh, a positive energy, and they contribute financially. They educate. My daughter has a wonderful son who who is amazing, and yeah, I mean that's it. I mean it's fulfillment. You get to sit back and look at your work. Biblically is like God as He created each thing. He said, "All right, that's good." And He did something else. He said, "All right, that's good." And He did all these things, and then He was like, "Yeah, this is all good, and I'm gonna chill." So that's where I'm at in my life. But that's what it is to me, being able to look back on it, my 53 years on the planet, and know that I have something of significance to say that I did that, right? And it's just wonderful. And I mean, the unconditional. I was speaking to somebody who doesn't have children. I was explaining to them that something overcomes you when you become a parent because you meet these new people. They're little, they're tiny, they can't move, but they're people. They have their own personalities and they will grow to have their own ideas. And you'll see little bits of yourself in them, but you'll realize, especially as they become adults, that they're their own people. And the crazy thing is, even if you don't like them, you love them. You cannot love. It's impossible for you not to love your children unless you're mentally ill, right? That's another conversation. But the fact that you love your children unconditionally and you think about it and you put yourself in harm's way, you take away from yourself to benefit them. They say in nature, right? Survival is the strongest rule. A person, an animal will do anything to survive, but a human, what separates us away from animals is we will hurt ourselves. We will put ourselves in harm's way. We will kill ourselves to save our children. We will kill others to save our children, right? So having that experience, knowing that, living that, and still, even to this day, even my children are adults. My son is 30, my daughter is 23. I have a stepdaughter who's very much my daughter. She's 34. And to this day, I feel the same way about them I felt about them when they were small children, when they were newborns. And but they're adults, they're looking to help me, even though I don't let them because I need them to take care of themselves. But that's a beautiful thing too. And remember, I shared with you, the stuff my son bought me and my Father's Day gift. Like it was incredible.
It was incredible
receiving something from my son, like what I received, and it was just like, I mean, I can't even explain it.
What'd you get?
Regalia.
Oh, okay.
Right, because my son is my brother.
Mm.
Right, and we spent a few days together, and we was building and just all kind of stuff, and watching him be almost as much a zealot as I was at his time, and the same age. That's the funny thing. We came in the same age. So, it's incredible. It's just really incredible. And I mean, realization of responsibility, understanding that I made a positive contribution to the world, and that hopefully it will live on through my children and grandchildren about what I wanted for the world. Understanding truth, freedom, and equality, and equity. So yeah.
I can dig it. Ain't no ask that Marcus J. Live from New Den Legacy and that radio 804-402-2893. Taking a comment in from Reynaldo on the prior topic on the Juneteenth. He says that I'm good with this day creating conversation, and more importantly, it will create generations of people who will research Juneteenth. Absolutely. That's right there. That's the comment of the whole conversation. I appreciate you saying that, Reynaldo. That's outstanding, and that's ultimately what my point has been. And maybe I didn't articulate it that well, but you nailed it, bro. You continue, Reynaldo. Being a pawpaw is great, and there's nothing like seeing you in the next generation of your family. And you nailed it again, brother. Damon, you have a daughter and you have two sons. You're a father. You have children, and as someone who has been brothers with you for well over 30 years, it's been an honor for me to watch you grow as a boy and then a young man, and to become a man and then become a father, and to watch you how you navigate fatherhood has been an honor for me. And then to watch you as Uncle Damon with my daughter, and just to see the light in her eyes when she sees or talks about you, that's a blessing for me. So I rocks with you, and I appreciate you as a man, as a brother. I want to know from you, what's it like to be a father? Talk to me.
I don't think I could probably put it in its proper perspective, because it's without a doubt the most exhilarating, exciting, terrifying, adoring, just all of those. There's so many words you can use to describe it. Even when you were describing your relationship with Mama, seeing you firsthand with her, it's just like it does my heart good. And, it's something that just is just pure unadulterated love, and that's how I feel about my three. It's like being able to just have them look at me and me look at them, and know that, yes, at the end of the day, I'm responsible for the betterment of these three individuals. Come hell or high water, I need to do everything that I can possibly do at my disposal to make sure that they are, they're provided for, that they're taken care of, that they are learned, that they get everything that they can possibly have. Primarily the things that I didn't have. Primarily the things that I didn't get. And I don't mean just material things, but I mean also just being able to be completely honest and talk to your kids the way that, in some ways, back in the day, our parents really, sometimes they did talk to us, but they talked at us more so sometimes
Right.
than they talk with us. And for me to be able to do that, my son Masai, he's 20, he just finished his sophomore year at Virginia State, and he's just seeing his involvement, his evolution from when he was in junior high, and I'm sorry, a junior in high school, senior high school, freshman, and now sophomore. When he came home, it's like, yo, who is this guy?
Who is this
It's
guy?
like I'm dumbfounded at the way that he's able to express himself now, the way he talks, the way he just exudes that level of confidence, and just a whip smart. My daughter Madison, the same. She's just like, like the light of my life. When I talk to her and when we spend time, it's just like, I don't think there's anything that I could possibly put, as comparable on this earth to the feeling that I have when I talk to them, when I spend time with them, or just for them to just be able to just ask me something just arbitrary. You know, I was just as a quick example. Yesterday, I was with Dylan, my 3-year-old, and we went to go see Grandpa at his house yesterday. And you know, it was probably the middle of the day, and Grandpa was a little tired because he went to church, and you know, Grandpa was nodding a little bit in the chair and whatnot, and you know, Dylan walked over to him and he was like, Grandpa, you need to lay down. You look really, really sleepy. Daddy, we should go because Grandpa needs to lay down.
He
You
gotta
know,
go to bed.
it's just and you know, and my father, he just loved it. You know, it's just being able to have those experiences, just to touch on those experiences and just have you know, something that is a part of you that can possibly live on past your life and then past their life and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, is something that is just so profoundly a gift from God that I can't even possibly be any more thankful for on all my three, you know, and I love it. I love it to death.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Ain't no I Step Marcus J live from New Day and Legacy in that radio. Shout out to all of the dads and fathers and men who are watching and listening right now. Yeah,
Men.
no disrespect to the women, but you don't get no happy Father's Day.
No, and you can't
And
get the big piece of chicken either. You don't get the big piece of chicken.
you know, I'm not going to throw no more shade than saying that if you're not a man, this is Happy Father's Day is for men, natural born men, not
Right.
single mothers, not single grandmothers. You know, we love y'all. Our women, we love you. We love you. We have Mother's Day for you. And I don't care how petty you was, but you don't get no love from me on Father's Day. I'm sorry, you just don't. I got a very special shout out I'd like to give to another father who is a family member of Legacy Internet Radio. I always call him one of my big brothers. I rocks with this dude. He is a Virginia Union University alumni as well as legend. My brother Ray Neblett is checking us out right now. He's saying awesomeness. He's a father. He's a grandfather. He's a man that I look up to. Haven't known him for that long, but every single moment I've had an opportunity to spend with him, all of those moments have been spent talking about his family and his children. And I had an opportunity to spend time with his oldest son, who's in his 30s, and his youngest son, is a very young elementary school age young man. And just to watch this man father these children, his grown man and his young boy, is inspiring to me. And every opportunity I have a chance to spend with Ray is a good day for me. So peace to you, Ray. I love you, brother. Shout out to you, Ronaldo. Thank you back to you. I see you. Than't you back to you. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy in that radio. You know, Jay Grizzy is a cool person to me. Y'all know I get this man his flowers so much that he gets a little embarrassed. I don't care, especially when he's on the screen because he can't get to me to make me stop. So I'm just gonna give him these flowers.
Get up, Jay.
And I'm just
Get
gonna
up,
make
Jay.
him, you know, I bet you if I was giving his ass a cannabis flower, he wouldn't be telling me to stop. But anyway, yeah.
Smoke these clips
Jay.
down to the bone,
Yeah.
baby. To the
Happy
bone.
Father's Day to you too, Ray. I peace to you. I love you, brother. Jay Grizzy, man. You know, Jay Grizzy, not only is he a good friend of mine and a brother of mine, somebody who saved my life more than once, he produced a really cool brother, man. His son, I also consider a friend of mine. You know, his son is a grown-ass man
Grown
who
ass
I
man.
spent time with exclusive of Grizzy. You know what I mean? Like I rocks with his son. Like, you know, this is a different kind of world when you got a brother, a friend, someone that you love, and then you rock with their son the same way. Like that's how I rocks with your son, you know? And I know he's not your only, he's your oldest. But whenever I'm spending time with you, Grizz, we can't go more than a few minutes without you talking about one of them boys. And I know how much as a man and as a father, you love your boys. And I just love that about you because you got all boys. And that's a blessing. That's a blessing because you raising the next generation of men. You know what I'm saying? Like Damon said in his piece, like I didn't mention this and John didn't either. I guess we didn't think about it until Damon said it, but you know, the natural order of life is they're gonna be here when we gone.
Mm-hmm.
And you raising men, and I rocks with you for that, bro. I'm proud of you for that, bro, because you can see the manhood that you put in them boys, and it comes out. Most recent conversation I had with your middle boy, you and me and him on Skype, but we ain't got to get into what we talked about. That's not what this is about.
Right.
But you talked to him, and you told him this is somebody you need to talk to that can help you with this situation, and the three of us build it. And that's what a man does with his children, man. You put your children in a position
right.
to be able to get what they need, even if you can't give it to them. You make sure they get it, and you did that. And you a man, brother, and I rocks with you. Talk to me about being a father, Grizz.
I love you too, Marcus.
Yeah, man. You know how I get. You know how I get. Don't make fun of me, man. You know how I get, man.
Jesus Christ.
They make fun of me because I love them. You know what I'm saying? How you make fun of somebody that loves you, man?
You can't, yo.
You
You just gotta just take it, yo.
Just gotta take that, man. Because if I don't like you, hold on, before you say anything, if I don't like you, you get the same shit on the other side.
Same shit on the other side, right?
Yes, sir.
Right back at you.
Yes, sir.
It's fair all the way across the board. But I was just thinking while you were saying that, like, if I don't do nothing else in this world, if I don't make another dime, if I don't, you know, make the right turn on the corner, if I don't make the right decision on anything else, I know I did the right thing by being a father to my three sons. Like that, nobody can convince me otherwise. And while the panel was talking, I was sitting here trying to gather my thoughts on like what does fatherhood mean to me, and it took me back to when I was younger, in the narrative that society had put on black men growing up in the 70s and the 80s, other than, at least for me, other than seeing James Evans on Good Times or George Jefferson on Archie Bunker or something, black fathers was told to me, I'm just speaking my personal story, as it's like a unicorn. Like you just never thought that that was possible. I knew as I got older, I'm just like, well, she had a daddy, he had a daddy, they had a daddy, I had a daddy. What is this all about is in regards to why you don't see black fathers in put in on at a higher pedestal, a higher place in society? As I got knowledge of a little bit of self, I figured that was all planned. But I always said to myself, when the opportunity came, and I became a father very young at 17 years old. A lot of 17-year-old guys could have easily done what a immature 17-year-old kid might done. It ain't my baby, or you need to go to the abortion clinic, take this $400, you know, something like that. But I couldn't. Something in me didn't allow that to even creep into my mind. I think my peoples and for raising me a certain kind of way, that had something to do with it. But even if I wasn't blessed with the family I had, I couldn't think of anything other than this is something that I did. I have to be responsible, and I got to see this through. And then when I met my wife and my two other kids, the same thing. Like when you're taking on, as a blended family, and you take on other children, that's a responsibility that I don't take lightly. And I say, if I'm gonna do this, I'm committed to it. Like, so being a father to me is something that honestly, you never, as teenagers, we ain't sit here and say, "Oh, I can't wait to be a daddy." Nobody wanted to get that call and say, "I'm late." No, yeah, nobody wanted that call as a teenager. But
are you sitting down?
I never quite thought of it that way, but yeah. Let me ask you guys this. John. I want to bring you in. I want to start with you. I want to kind of talk a little bit about challenges. Before I do that, let me get a comment in from the folks that are listening and watching. 804-402-2893 is the number to dial. If you want to call us, talk to us, we're here. 804-402-2893 is the number to dial. You want to rock with us, we'll roll with you. Diamond is checking in. Diamond says, When it comes to my children, it's nothing I wouldn't do. They changed my outlook on many things in life. We grew together. I never ever thought to leave them. They are me and I am them. Diamond, that is an outstanding comment. I appreciate you rocking because, as a father and as a man, I feel exactly the same way that you do. Thank you for rocking with us and being a part of tonight's show. John, I want to talk to you and Grizz and Damon. The same thing comes up for you guys. I want to talk a little bit about challenges, because I see memes and stuff that says be kind to your parents because they're learning and they're growing just like you are. And that kind of thing hits different when you're in your 40s.
Word.
To be a parent with elderly parents, also with a child who now can drive and has her own partner, boyfriend that she rocks with. It's a whole different challenge that you obviously have been through. But what my question to you and you fellas, I want you guys to, think of a similar situation, but let's talk about challenges. Like, what's a challenge that you've experienced as a man and as a father? What's been hard? And, the easy part is loving your kid. That's the easy part. What's been challenges?
Being able to provide my children with to have them be able to experience to the degree that I could self-actualization, right? I didn't hide things from them, but I didn't expose them to things deliberately. I let them dictate what it is they wanted to do, how they wanted to do it, and everything that I told them was just a way to get what they wanted to get done, right? I gave them blueprints and plans, and I made them aware of pitfalls. But my children into their adulthood did not, as much as I could, did not know wants, or excuse me, they did not know needs. They may have wanted things, but they needed nothing, right? They had that experience of the magic. The kitchen was magic. They just opened the cabinet and the refrigerator, and the food was just there. Where it came from didn't matter. It did, how it happened. The lights were always on. The cable was always on. Everything was always on, right? There was nothing that other children had that they didn't have. For as much as I could do, given situations that I was not always physically present, for other reasons. But as much as I was present, as much as they had access to me, I just made sure that, they always, whatever need was there, it was provided. They didn't have to worry about that. So they were able to focus on becoming who they are as human beings. My son, he played football. I made sure he had everything he needed to do that. He got a scholarship for junior college. He did that, but then when he wanted to go to finish out to get his degree, I had to pay. He had grants. I think he took out one student loan, but he did that on his own.
Right.
I had to sign for it, but he did it, but it got paid. Everything got paid. Bills got paid. Everything, again, not having to worry. And then when it was time, when he did everything that he needed to do, and he told me he wanted to be a photographer, set him up in business. Right? He didn't have to go figure out a way, create a budget, go work a job to do this, that. No, right? Set him up a business, gave him time to learn his craft, perfect his craft. He's a pretty good photographer right now.
Yeah.
I mean, he does other work and supports himself, you know, through other means as well. But that was his choice to do so as a grown man. So that, same difference for my daughter. Whatever she wanted to do, she wanted to do music, she wanted to do this, she wanted to do that. But she's a mother now, so her whole life is different. But that's the challenge. The challenge having what I had to go through. I worked a job since I was 12 years old. Right? I worked a real job since I was 12 years old. And that's why I retired at 50, because I put in the time. My children didn't have to do that. Right. And that was my challenge, to make sure that they didn't know. Like, I knew about bills at 12 years old. I knew what the light bill was. I saw it. I paid it. Right. I knew what the light bill was. I knew what rent was. I knew how much the rent was in the apartment I lived in. I knew what my contribution was. When I was 14, I got my own phone line. Right. So I knew what the phone bill was. So these kind of things, they never, my kids, well, my son anyway, I still, not blowing him up, but I still, his phone is on my plan.
Yeah, you help him out.
You know what I'm saying? It's not even a help out. It's just, that's the phone he's had. Like, I've had my phone since, my phone and phone number since 1994, right? And my numbers haven't changed. He's had a phone since he's had a phone, and that phone has been his phone and his number since then, and will be so until he takes over and he's paying.
He takes over for Dad.
Yeah.
Ain't no how Steppin, Marcus J, live from New Den Legacy in that radio. As men, Damon, we always have things that we have to deal with. We have our challenges. It's tough. Talk to us a little bit about some of the challenges that you've had as dad. How you looked it in the eye, you kicked its ass, and you kept it moving.
Oh wow, shit. I think the one thing I wish I had more of is time with all of them. If I could clone myself, I wouldn't. I really would just hang out with my kids all day. Like, I would really go to school with Maddie. I would really go to college with Masai, and I would definitely be in preschool with Dylan, because I mean, Play-Doh is how much fun is Play-Doh?
Play-Doh's pretty cool, bro.
How much cooler is Play-Doh? I mean, I think
Legos.
Legos. I mean, Lego. I got Legos all over the damn house. Still stepping on Legos. But I think that the time aspect of it is probably the most challenging thing about it, because, at the end of the day, even with my oldest and my middle, their time is so much occupied by other things, not just school, but having to be bombarded by all of those outside things that are, and don't get me wrong, all three of them, they all know, the right and wrong, and the good and the bad. But if I had more time to be able to just hone a lot more of those skills on a regular basis, like daily, like if I could just tag along with them all day long, I would do that. I would so do that. But with everything that's going on in the world, with everything that you hear about, what some parents have done to what the framework of having a family is, you see these stories about parents who don't, and I'm sorry, I don't even talk about parents, but that fathers that don't do what needs to be done, to preserve, the just the framework of what childhood is supposed to be. I mean, don't get me wrong, like John said, we've all run into those things that have happened when we were younger that we didn't have the opportunity to. Those things weren't allowed to us. Those opportunities weren't presented to us, and we all took that as successful dads and said, you know what, I want to do everything I possibly can to make sure that my child doesn't have to experience those things. Not to say that you aren't going to actually tell them and let them know what that experience is like, because you want them to be well-rounded, you want them to be knowledgeable, you want them to have an opportunity to see both the good and the bad, to the point where they're able to decipher for themselves and discern for themselves that, you know what, my mom and my dad did everything that they possibly could to get me to where I am right now. And like when you asked about being how does it feel about being a dad, for me to be able to see that intensity, to see that fire, to see that love for whatever they come up with, um, in their eyes, is something that just brings me even more joy every day. Somebody asked me when I had Masai back in 2000, 2001. Somebody asked me, "Oh, how come you ain't name him a junior? How come you ain't name him Damon Jr.?" Dude, I don't want a junior. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking anybody for that, but I didn't want my sons to have to live up to an expectation that wasn't attainable. Not to say that I'm Rockefeller or anything like that, but I wanted him or her to have their own identity, to have their own, own forge their own path in life, and I didn't want them to have to live up to some standard. Oh, you Damon Schuler Jr. I didn't want that to be the case. But so at the end of the day, I think that one challenge is to be able to have that time, to be, and don't get me wrong, and not say that I'm not, but to have the opportunity. Like, for example, bro, you know how I've seen you with Christina. You would hang with Christina 24/7, 365 if you could. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, that's probably my biggest challenge as far as how I feel about being a dad.
Yeah, man. That I mean, like you said, I mean, you've been around me with her, and you know that, my greatest joy is to snuggle up under Mama J. Like, I rocks with her.
Right,
You
right,
know what I mean? And it's a cool thing when you like your kid. I can't
right.
imagine
For
when you don't
real.
like your kid. I'm sure that there's people that don't, and I
Yeah.
don't understand that. Grizz, I want
Right.
you to jump in here and talk to me a little bit, because as men, nobody really cares what we think about what goes on
Who you telling?
with the kids. If you have children and you have an active mother, we all remember our own mothers, and as we've gotten older, I think, and I can speak for myself, but I think I can speak for the room too. We all begin to understand our fathers a little bit better, because we see how our ladies, our children's mothers, our wives, we see how they move with the children,
Mm-hmm.
how it makes you feel and how it affects you. And every once in a while, you want to pick up the phone and call your pops, like, man, my bad, yo. At least I do. At
My
least I
bad,
do.
yo.
Did
So
I
yeah,
put you
For
through that,
real.
yo? Did
did
I
I
put
put
you
you
through
through
that,
that?
Pop?
I mean,
Damn, Pop.
because
I made
the
that
truth
call. I'd have
is,
made that call.
the truth is, and Grizz, I want you to answer this, right? I didn't ask them this, but I want you to answer this, right? As a dad,
Okay.
as a man, it's almost like you Robin when it comes to parenting, like Batman and Robin. Like Batman
Yeah.
is the centerpiece. Like, he is Gotham City's protector, and we can dig it because it's
Mm-hmm.
Batman, you know? And Robin is dope, but Robin ain't Batman. And
But
sometimes as fathers, we feel like Robin to our
but
own
Robin is dependable. Like Batman wouldn't fuck with Robin unless he could count on him.
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so
pick up the analogy right there. Keep going.
yeah,
That's perfect, Grizz.
Bat
That's perfect.
yeah, Batman didn't choose no other sidekick. I mean, Robin had different iterations, Batwing or whatever, but it was Robin, and he was always there by his side, making sure that where Batman was caught by the Riddler or whatever, Robin would come through in his tidy whities and save the day.
You mean tidy
So
greenies?
that's how I
Yeah,
do.
tidy greenies. The tidy
Yeah,
greenies.
tidy greening.
Not
His
gritty
But
greenies.
just to
underoos.
talk about
Yeah.
yeah, the challenges I think I face. One of the challenges we all touched on it a little bit is not making my kids
be, and I think Damon talked about it a little bit, like not to overly put my touch on them. You know what I'm saying? Because we came from a generation, and it took a while for me, but I came from a generation where you won't gonna repeat yourself. You know what I mean? you go, your parents gonna tell you something one time, and we could retain it. One of the challenging things I tell my kids from 31, he be 32 next week, to 20 years old, he just turned 20 about a month ago, is I just want them to retain something. You know, I know they hear me and I know they get it, but it's challenging because I know when I was their age, I didn't retain anything, but I could call back on it years later in life. That's why we make that
Right.
call to dad and be like, I feel you. You know, so I want them, and my oldest, he does that a lot. He'll end up calling me and saying, I see what you meant when you told me this 15 years ago, you know, and now I'm seeing it. I always used to get frustrated. I'm like, well, y'all should have been smart like me. I saw it when it was happening, you know, but everybody has to grow. That's something that I learned to take on as time has gone on. Like I'm at this stage in life where I just sit back and I'm just watching everything now because everybody is grown, and there's nothing more satisfying than seeing that. First, when you're not raising no knuckleheads, but B, that they thrive, and they're going through life just like any other person in their age group or their peer group would, and I don't have to intervene a lot of times. All I do is, you know, just push them a little bit and they could get it, or they call back to something that I didn't taught them. I'm more of a teacher as a type of dad where I just forever give, you know, not lectures, because you know when our pops was talking to us, I don't know about y'all, but it was going through one ear and out the other because
Charlie
I'm gonna tell
Brown,
you
pops.
that
Charlie Brown, you know.
Wah, wah, wah. Hopefully we didn't lose Grizzly,
and I
but
think I told Marcus this one time.
your phone is breaking up. I think you might need
A
to
bit
pay
of
the bill.
yeah, it was my bad. The one time a bit of credibility with all the basketball court. What, I'm breaking up?
Yeah, you was breaking up a little bit.
Am I?
Go ahead and make your final point.
I'm good. Okay. One of the things there's no final point. I'll go ahead and wrap it up since I'm having technical difficulty. Is that you always want to be? I just sit back and I just watch in amazement my wonder. Dig it.
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy and Net Radio. I
Cream of the crop.
Damon and Grizz, hold the line, okay? Because I'm gonna take this comment
Sure.
in social media. We're gonna go towards the final stage of the show. We'll get our moment in Black history here in a moment. We'll go through our missing child, but I want you both present for the rant and closing. You've been around the show long enough, you know exactly what that's all about. We'll keep the phone lines open until the balance of the show. 804-402-2893. That's the number to dial. You want to rock with us, we'll roll with you. Shout out to Greg. Greg is listening and watching. Greg says, I can't think of any other way of life but with my children. Even now that they're grown, we still rock together. The challenge and tribulations I've endured to see them grow, will no regrets. I will do it all again. I love that, brother. I love that. That's outstanding. You know, I asked the question to the panel. That's your man. That's your homeboy. Damon Greg John said that's his Damon. So that's his brother. That's his best man. And so we as men can appreciate how John feels about Greg. So Greg, we appreciate you rocking with your brother over here, John.
That's dope. That's dope.
We like him, so I guess we understand a little bit why you like him too. Ain't no hostile Marcus J live for New Day. Legacy
through the trenches with that brother.
Yeah,
man, I tell
man.
you.
Hey, look, and as men, you got to know, as much as you love your brother, you got to roast his ass every chance you roast his ass, every chance you get. Because I tell you, me and Damon go through, we put each other through it. That's how we do it. So, Greg, You gonna do it with John, and we know Grizzy gonna do it with Carlton Banks. So that's just how you do it.
Oh,
Yeah,
damn, Mr. Carlton Banks.
and shout out to Big Bro Joe, because as he always says to me, and I always say to him, you ain't shit without your homeboy. There it is. Ain't no I step Marcus J live from New
you
Den.
reminded me. Let me get
Legacy
one
in their
quick thing
radio.
in. I heard something the other day. You just said something. You know the phrase people always say, blood thicker than water.
Yeah.
Right. And what they don't understand is it means the opposite of what they think it means.
Okay.
Because the true saying is the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb.
Okay.
So what that means is the people you choose to have in your life are far more valuable to you than the people who are in your life because of something you cannot control.
Yeah, it's a choice.
Right. So that's when we speak about these brothers as our brothers, that's what that means.
Yeah.
That's what that means. Absolutely.
I love that because, it's almost like a chosen family. Your family that's given to you by DNA and by nature. You didn't have a choice in that.
Those is relatives.
Those
that's
are
not
relatives,
family.
and you rock with them.
Family different.
You rock with them, but when you choose somebody and they choose you, it's like, yo, you know what I'm saying? We just happen to be doing this life together, and we want to do this life together as opposed to we have to,
Right.
So that's the difference.
Right.
So I rock with it. Greg,
It's like also if like somebody knock on your dorm room door and like, yo, man, I need to talk to you, man. I need to talk to you, bro. I don't even rock with you. I don't even like you. I don't even like you, yo, but I need to talk to you. I'm in a dilemma, bro.
Yeah. So it's an inside joke, but I got to tell a story.
You gotta fill it in.
I'm not gonna tell all. I'm not gonna tell all of it. But here's me and Dame. Here's me and Dame's origin story in a nutshell. We grew up in the same church. Our families knew each other. They've known each other for a long time. But as young men, we grew up in the same church. We circled each other, but we didn't necessarily care too much for each other for a variety of reasons. For interest of time, I won't get into them. We didn't care too much for each other. Fast forward a few years later, we're high school age, and we're in a summer program for smart kids. Damon was a smart kid. I was a smart kid. We went to school in the summer that made us nerds deal with it. So anyway, there was a situation that came up that distressed me. I had never seen this situation before. And the only person that I happened to see on this campus was Damon. And I was shocked to even see him because I didn't expect to see him. That's the dude from the church who I didn't rock with, who don't rock with me. Right. But when the situation arose, I needed to talk to somebody about it. And he was the only person there. So I was like, look here, bro. I know we don't rock with each other, but can I get your time and your ear for a few minutes? And that was in June of 1990. That was 90? June of 1990, and here we are 31 years later. He's
What, you knocked somebody up? What?
I'll tell you offline. I ain't gotta let the whole world know what that
you can't do that.
Yeah, I can't tell you what that's about. But John and Greg, if y'all got a similar story, then I appreciate y'all's brotherhood. And Carlton Banks and Jay Grizzy, I know y'all go back to the 6th grade.
My God.
So you know what I mean? And when I came to Richmond, Virginia, you know what I'm saying? I met a lot of people, but Big Bro Joe and I stuck as brothers, and I rock with him like he's blood. So I understand what it's like when you, as a man, like one of the most important things that and I know we weren't talking about going here, but I'm gonna say this last thing, then we really are gonna get out of the show. But one of the things that I always said, I'm gonna look right in the camera when I say this, man. As men, we get caught up in the machismo of just being men. Heterosexual men have a hard time. Greg said we got stories. I'm sure you do, brother. As heterosexual men, a lot of times we get caught up in the machismo of not wanting to show other men love. Like you can't show a man love. You can't say I love you. Hard stop. You got to always qualify. I love you, bro. I love you, man. You know what I mean? Like just say I love you and just leave it right there. Give him a pound, look him in the eye, and tell him you rocks with him. You know what I'm saying? He's your brother. Ain't nothing weird with that. And I think we get so caught up in the machismo of just being a man that we don't show affection for other men. And I think it's necessary because we are the only ones who understand what we are going through. We love our women, yo. We love our women. We love our women. We love our unconditional loved women. We love
Right.
our sensual women. We love our women as mates. We love our sisters, our mothers, our aunties, all that. We love our women. But I think it's important as men to show the affection towards other men that is missing in our relationships, which is the reason why I always tell my brothers, if I fucks with you like that, I'm gonna tell you I love you, man, even if it's weird for you.
Right.
It ain't weird for me. It ain't weird for me.
I love
Nah.
you too, Marcus.
It ain't weird for me. That's just how I get down. And I think
You
that's
said it.
my third
You-
F word of the show, or maybe
Look at
my
that. I
fourth.
wasn't even counting.
Yeah,
You
know,
That's
told
crazy.
John normally counts my F
That's
bombs,
crazy.
and
I
I
wasn't even
strategically place them where I want them to be. And
Did
that was
John keep
what I
count?
really needed
Did
that
John
to-
keep count this time?
I didn't even count. That's because Steph ain't here.
Because you know
Yeah,
what's
when
crazy?
Steph is here,
We
he
on
counts-
some
Crazy. When I was on the show,
shit right now.
when I was on the
told
show
me
last
that.
week, when I was in the studio, he
Yeah,
was ticking
hey,
them off.
look,
He was
when
ticking them
Steph
off
is
on a
here-
piece of paper.
Yeah, hey, look, Damon, you've been in the new den.
I
Grizz,
was
you
in the
ain't been
room
new
and
den.
I was to the right of John. And every
Yeah.
time you dropped the F, he was ticking them on the paper.
I
I'm like,
know,
what's
I
wrong with that? I'm
know,
like,
I know.
he
And I'm
clocking the
looking at the
F-bomb?
notepad, and he
Nothing.
didn't do it today.
Wow.
Do it
Wow.
today.
You
He
know
just
what?
turned me.
You know
He just
what?
turned
He
me
was
loose.
We didn't have that.
he
We
was
didn't have that feminine influence.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what it was. This is some real
nah,
man.
he was
Well, I can
just so
dig it.
Juneteenth out. He's like, man, I ain't counting no
Hey,
Fuck it
look.
all.
Yeah, I love you, brothers,
F it
man.
all.
Good. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and that radio. All right, so this is the time of the show where we do our moments in Black history. And so we're going to do a couple of moments in Black history, and then we'll search for a missing child. Everybody's going to get their final word, and then we're going to take it home. This week in Black history, we'll start in 2015. White teens who embraced racist ideology and said he wanted to start a, quote, race war is arrested for shooting 9 Black churchgoers during Bible study at Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina. Everybody remembers Dylan Roof and ended up in the backseat of a police car on the way to Burger King.
Yeah,
Eating Burger King. 1963, NAACP Field Secretary and World War II veteran Medgar Evers, who was assassinated by white supremacists, buried in Arlington National Cemetery with full honors as thousands mourned. Of course, he was shot and killed a week earlier on the 12th. Let's see. Let's get one more. 1971. Yeah. President Richard Nixon declares war on drugs, contributing 700% increase in the U.S. prison population.
I got one for you, Marcus.
We already know what happened after that. What you got, John?
2021, Joe Biden signs Juneteenth. It's gonna be on the new calendar.
Hey,
The more you know.
Hey, look. I think John just dropped the mic on the moment in Black history.
Right. Yeah, I think he did. I think he
Yeah,
really did.
He did. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Dan. Legacy and radio. All right, this is part of the show that I hate the most. I like the least. It is the most necessary, where we search for missing children, as we do on every single show since September, the first Tuesday in September of 2011, when Jay Grizzy hosted the very first show that any of us ever did, the original Green Room. I did a missing child on that show and every single show that I've hosted or been a co-host on ever since. Mariah Jackson, she's missing since June 16th, 2021, right here in Henrico County, Cap City of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Is a part of Richmond. She's a 15-year-old Black female. She's 5'6". She's 145 pounds. She's got black hair and brown eyes. Mariah was last seen wearing a tie-dye hoodie that is mostly white, black athletic pants, glasses, and a navy blue backpack with plastic shopping bags. If you've seen Mariah Jackson, please contact the National Center for Missing and/or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.org, or contact the Henrico County Police Department at 804-501-5000. And we're also looking for Tayana McLean. She's been missing since June 17th. 2021 from Chesterfield County, also part of us here in the Cap City, Richmond, Virginia. She's a 14-year-old black female. Her hair is blonde, although in the picture she's showing black micro braids. Her eyes are gray. She's 5'9". She weighs 120 pounds, and she was last seen on June 17th, and she wears a nose ring. If you've seen Tiana McLean, please contact Chesterfield County Police Department at 804-748-1251. If you've seen Tiana McLean, or if you've seen Mariah Jackson, please contact the National Center for Missing or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.org, or contact them by phone at 1-800-LOST, 1-800-843-5678. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J, live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. All right, so it's that time of the show. We close it out with our own rants, our own closings. Our usual suspect tonight, Jay, Grizzly, Damon, as well as John, all know what it is. Grizzly, you up first. Take us home, inspiration of Legacy Internet Radio. What is your final word, my brother?
Thank you, Marcus. Appreciate you having me on. Peace to you, Damon. Peace to you, John. Not much to say tonight, other than the media need to leave Ben Simmons alone for y'all make that boy go back to Australia. He stunk it up. That's all I got to say. At least he ain't on the Knicks. That's all. That's all I got to say.
That was the worst series performance from a star player I think I've ever seen in my life, and I've been watching basketball a long time. This dude, no, it wasn't worse than Charles Smith. As bad as Charles Smith was,
that was the worst.
Charles Smith was bad. No, Charles Smith contributed.
Charles Smith, and you make me sick, John, because I swore I would never publicly say the name John Smith.
Charles Smith.
But Charles Smith was one game.
And it was a bunny.
This dude,
he stunk it up over 7.
This dude is a star player, and he scored 19 points over 7 games.
Yeah. He stunk it up, but Philly. If Philly is gonna do what I know Philly fans is gonna do, he got to get out of town. They're not gonna let. He got to go. So
he got to go.
He got to go.
It's gonna be hard. But as I passed the con over to my brother Damon, he remembers sitting in my kitchen table about 9 days ago. I looked him in the eye. He looked me in the eye, and I told him the Atlanta Hawks and the Los Angeles Clippers both were down in their series. I told him, I said, they're going to the NBA Finals. Well, they both have one more series to win to get that to happen. But with them being down in their series at the time, I sounded like a crazy person to everybody who was around that table when I said it. I am a crazy person, but not for saying what I said that day. I watched the Atlanta Hawks play when they played against the Knicks, and they are a young, hungry team that plays inside and out. And Trae Young is an absolute superstar at 22 years old. He is already going to be somebody 10 years from now that we're going to be talking about on the upper echelon of point guards in this league. He's that good, and I think he's going to show the Milwaukee Bucks in 6. So we'll see. We didn't talk about this, and I don't expect to spend a lot of time talking about this. I really wanted to bring that to Damon publicly because I said it to him, and he told me
that's dirty. That's dirty. That's dirty that you did that, Marcus A. Smith.
You told me that I can't remember what you said verbatim, so I won't put words in your mouth.
We were outside. We were outside at baby girl's party. Sucker.
Yeah, but what I told you
outside of baby girl's party, and you told me that. But who would have thought that Kyrie would come up lame, landing on somebody's foot, and then that Ben Simmons would just be lame altogether? That he would just be all together.
Right? Don't matter how
it do matter. Yeah.
Don't matter how we got here. Because injuries are a part of the game.
You are definitely right. You are definitely right.
Marcus J, live from New Den Legacy and Radio. Damon, it's always an honor to have you on this radio show. The people who I have met here in Richmond, who have become my family when you come to town, they have embraced you as family as well. So that gives me joy. It brings joy to my heart to know that you and me and Grizzly got our own group chat where the three of us chat about the stuff that we chat about. I appreciate that. I rocks with that. To know that you come here to New Den and you sat here with John and you rocked with him, I appreciate that. Man, I like,
as he
you
ticked
know,
off the F's. Yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean? So I appreciate that. You got an opportunity to take us home with your own rant and closing. This your show, bro. What you got, man?
Man, I don't really have much to say. I mean, again, it's always a pleasure and an honor to be on your show. And I probably said this. I said this to you, a couple times before, that when the old den was closed down and you took a hiatus, I really felt like this whole platform was necessary, and Facebook Live, the people out in cyberspace, they need to hear this. They need to hear this. They need to have opportunity to hear this type of groundbreaking, conversation. Four black men on the internet on a talk show talking about Juneteenth and fatherhood and the appreciations of fatherhood is something that you rarely even hear talking about, or even see. So the opportunity to do that on your show with, of course, John, and with you, Jay, is truly an honor for myself. I think the only thing that I might want to touch on is just the thing about inclusion. I'm not going to get into the whole thing that we were talking about before. And yes, I do agree that sometimes inclusion is potentially a bad thing, but I think at the end of the day, for a lot of the narratives to change in this world, there needs to be an opportunity for people to step out on faith, and step out on just the opportunity to try and to come to some sort of understanding with one another. I had posted something on Facebook, on Instagram earlier about and that escapes me at the moment right now, but it had to do with having to limit the education that you receive about things that happen in history. And how do you the old adage is, how do you learn where you're going if you don't know where you're at and where you've come from? You know what I mean? And I think at the end of the day, a lot of us need to take an opportunity to look at one another. It sounds like a kumbaya moment, honestly, but take an opportunity to look at one another, look at our faults, look at our strengths, look at those things that we can build on with one another, to the point that it grows cause for those conversations, like John said, for those conversations to be had and those truths to come out. But you have to start somewhere. It all has to start somewhere. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm about to go ahead and crack this white henny right quick to finish my Juneteenth.
Right.
Finish my Juneteenth off. Mark, it's been a pleasure, man. And just like you said, man, I love you, bro. Jay, I love you, bro. John, I love you, bro.
too, brother.
You guys
Hey,
definitely
love you too, bro.
definitely
For
put
sure.
this
Love you
on.
too, brother.
You guys definitely are doing your thing. And listen, I might be here next week.
You're welcome.
Ain't no hashtag Marcus J Live from New Den Legacy and that radio. Last
Why
but
you
not
can't come
least,
back next week?
huh?
Why you can't come back next week?
We got the
There's
next week.
something to do next week.
I said you're welcome.
There's something to do next week. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J Live
Brother,
from New
brother,
Den
brother,
Legacy and that
brother,
radio.
brother.
All right, so last but absolutely not least, I got to give flowers to my brother John, because this brother right here is one of the most brilliant brothers I know. He keeps me in line. He gives me a new perspective. He's got a calming presence that
I'll give you that.
he got a calming presence that I don't get elsewhere. And so I really appreciate every opportunity we have. We got like this men's week thing, the men's day thing that we do. Won't get into the specifics. He knows what I'm talking about, but let's just say that we hang out more than just on Monday nights. You know what I mean? And this is my brother. And just in the short amount of time that we've been brothers, I learned a lot from you. And I appreciate our conversations. And at the end of the day, you like wrestling. That's all that matters. You like wrestling. So I can simplify it and say I love this man because he loves wrestling. So, and all jokes aside, bro, I appreciate the fact that you co-host the show with me, because you bring a perspective that I don't always have, and I always learn from you every single week. You may notice that it's very often that I'll reference something that you said last week, this week, and next week. I'll probably reference something that you said tonight because I need you to know that while we battle and we fight on the air, I'm always listening to you. I'm always taking the jewels that you drop. I'm always taking to heart the things that you say. And as a man and as a brother, I appreciate you. And I appreciate you how you run with what you know. So thank you. Run your shit, bro. What you got, man?
I want to say that
Damn, that touched me, man. That
I
touched me.
need what you do to keep, so circumscribed, to keep in bounds.
Yeah.
You understand?
Keep
Right.
bounds with everything. Yeah,
Right.
I got you.
So because I would wild out.
If I
Right. Because once I get going, see, here's what happens, right? You get all this information in your head, right? Because when I was really studying hard, with no smartphones and nothing like that, I was in the law libraries and different things and reading history books. You get all this stuff clogged up in your head, and you get going, everything just starts coming out of everywhere, and you get different things mixed up. And what you keep a perspective on it to say, no, let's stay in this circle right here. Don't go there. Keep it right here. And then you say, okay, maybe that, but this, and it allows me to make a crazy way out of left field something into something that is digestible by others. And I appreciate you. That's a balance. Real recognize real, still sharp and still. I appreciate it. And every time we do this, I feel better for it because of you. Appreciate it. And because of Steph and because of you brothers. Too. Damon, Jay Grizz, of course, love everything about you guys, man. My rant is it's like what I do like every week when we close, man. I just speak about the things that we need to do. It's important for us as individuals to be the example, right? You say create the life you want to live, right? So that none of this stuff will matter to you, right? And be the example for others to see, what it is that you have done, so that they can do it too, so that it's obtainable. My issues come along with things when we talk about. Listen, I have known in my life some very incredible people who just happen to be white, right? Who I wouldn't be who I am without. There's a man named James McCarthy, passed away a few years back. I would not be who I was without James McCarthy, and a lot of people I know wouldn't. Won't get into it, and there are others, other teachers. A man named Bart Zubrin, who is recognized as one of the top, I think, 100 minds in the world. He's one of the smartest people on the planet. Works for NASA. NASA was my 7th grade science teacher, and my chess master. These are people who I can't, who I wouldn't be who I was without them. So I don't have an issue with individuals. I have an issue with the idea that somehow white people will always take a narrative and completely turn it on its ear, right? And as we continue to have experiences in this country, the lies continue and they multiply. The truths are not multiplying, the lies are multiplying. And how often will you have to accept the lie before you get the truth? And how long will you continue living the lies before you say that's it? I'm done with it. Don't talk to me. Don't say anything to me because you're lying. Everything that you say out of your mouth is a lie. And that has been my experience in this country. And when I look at things and I look at them critically and I examine what is going on, other than talk, other than words, deeds and actions, we are in a worse position than we were when I was born 53 years ago. We're poorer, we're less educated, we're more incarcerated, our families are separated and destroyed, and it looks far more bleak than it did when I was born. Black folks who were my age when I was born had a better perspective and outlook on what they were going to achieve in this country. But we have the lip service that tells us different, and because of that, we acquiesce. We become subdued, and we somehow believe that. I was having a conversation with someone, and they were talking about getting a job, and they were talking about a certain wage. I was making what they were talking about making in 1987 at 19, and they're talking about making that today on a job. Right? So
Wow.
so things are not good. They're not better, and none of the lip service, none of it has been to our benefit. There is nothing that was done that was allegedly handed to us, given out to us, that has had any benefit to us. You said only 10% of the country had slaves at the time of slavery. The 90% didn't do anything about it until it became an economic issue where it affected them. And the only reason they did something about it is because they didn't have farms for us to work in the North. Had the whole country been 10 miles more south than what it is now, slavery would probably still be going on, because farming versus industrialism would have been the culture, and they would have kept slaves. Right? So 10% is good. I think the problem is we often get it flipped. We think that it's only a few, white racist people. Well, no, I got 70 million people voted for Donald Trump. Right? Of voting age, that's most of the country. Then considering a good third of the Democrats who voted for Biden, they racist too. We live in a racist country, full stop. There are not more white people in this country who don't hate black people than they are who do hate. Now, among those who don't hate us, that don't mean that they necessarily like us or would want to be us or would want us to marry their daughters. Right? When you get down to try to find the white people who care about whether or not black people are doing well, who would allow a black person to marry into their family, right? You have a very, very small number. And I always like to say the exception proves the rule. If you have to say, well, it ain't all, it's all. Right? We in 2021 and can't get a lynching bill passed. But we got Juneteenth. But it's still legal, to hang a nigga. It's still legal. But we got Juneteenth. You see what I'm saying? These are the things that get at me, that bother me, and it's just, and I keep trying to tell people we actually have the power to change it. We have the deciding vote, because white people are split in their politics. We have the deciding vote. We put Biden in office. Nobody but us. Take away the black vote, Trump would still be in office. Full stop. Right? We have the ability to affect our state, individual states, and what they do. In those states where stuff is going on, where they really like jacking people up and changing laws, like, Move, people, because this is what it's going to come down to. It's coming back. History is not moving forward. It's going backwards, right? If they're telling you that, nah, you can't do soul to the polls. You can't give people water standing in line because you made the line long because you wiped out you took away the polling places. Redlining is still a thing. Redlining is still a thing. You take a house with the same exact square footage, built the same year with the same design, in a predominantly black neighborhood, it is valued 27% less than the identical house in a predominantly white neighborhood. And it's done by the federal government, makes the assessment based on the race of the people who live in the neighborhood. This is still going on in 2021, and we're talking about Juneteenth. That's what bothers me. That's the thing. Get out, register to vote. Get your kids who are 16 and 17, get them ready to be registered to vote, right? Dictate the policy in your community. Politics begins in the community. Get your sheriff, get your what do they call it? Your councilman, your city council person, your county attorney. Whoever you can vote for these people. Vote. Get people in there who carry your interests. And yes, there might be white people sometimes, but hold them accountable. Hold them accountable. Don't let them say, well, it couldn't go that way. No, if they told you they were going to do something, if they don't do it, call them out. Call them out. Scream race. Play the race card all day. Yell it out. The Jews don't let nothing go. They don't let nothing go. We got to stop letting it go. It's not okay. It's not okay. You can't think something funny because you're going to be anti-Semitic. So we have to start taking those tactics. I'm not bigging nobody up, and I'm not saying what we do is dictated upon what other people do. I'm just saying, listen, we cannot play a game where we don't make the rules and where the rules are changeable whenever we get out of hand, right? We got to switch it up. Somebody do something, call them out. You racist. You're a racist pig. You racist. You racist. You racist. You racist. Drive it down their throats forever. Let's begin voting in block. You know what happened? And I'm going to end it with this. Last week, the African Union adopted a sixth zone. There are 5 zones on the continent of Africa that create the African Union. That 5 groups created a sixth union, and it's called the diaspora. Africa has decided to include all people of African descent around the world as the 6th part of the African Union. You will be able to issue identification, the say so, and at some point a passport. And we're not talking about that because Joe Biden decided to make Juneteenth the holiday, and nobody's talking about what happened on the continent.
Did I lose him?
Yeah, I think we lost him.
I don't know what happened there. He stopped talking. All I hear is you, Chris.
I'm still here. He talked us off air, motherfucker.
Yeah, he'll talk us off the feed.
Off the feed. They said Mark ain't paid a bill.
I don't know what happened. John ate up all the time. I don't know. Oh yeah, I guess it.